Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting week of Sunday Night Skippy Race in Action. I am Chris, and I am joined in the booth tonight by another Chris, one of the godfathers of the league. And I don't think you can hear me yet because I have him muted and deafened there. Chris, you got a good copy? All right, well, we'll let him get loaded up here and unmuted. In the meantime, let's check in with all of our racers. We're here at in Italy tonight, and
15 minutes.
And we're gonna mute that.
Many chicken Getty.
All right, so we've got a little bit of a new setup here tonight that I'm trying out, and so of course we're gonna have some technical difficulties as we work through that. So bear with us. In the meantime, though, let's go check out what is happening in our race. And while I have that stuff up, I'm going to need to step out for just a little bit. We are starting our 15-minute qualifying session here. And we can't talk. Okay, well, yeah, so here we go. We've already started this fun stuff here. Chris, do you have a copy now?
I can hear you.
There we go. Holy cow. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Well, welcome to the broadcast. I do believe this is your first time joining us, yeah?
It is. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Yeah, well, it's always good to have guys who are actually out there doing that. And I also kind of wanted to, a little bit later, just kind of pick your brain about the league and in general. It's always fun when we get to talk with one of the, founding fathers and kind of what it was like back then and what you were trying to do and kind of where we went from there. So
absolutely.
The track we're racing at tonight, Imola, is, historic, and I'll be honest, I have not spent much time on it.
Yeah, I just recently spent a little bit more time on it, and I'm really looking forward to tonight. I was really surprised how fun it was to drive the Skippy around the track, so I'm really curious to see how the guys handle it tonight.
Yeah, the general consensus that I've been hearing is that it's a fun track to run, not as fun to race, but I guess that just kind of depends on who you talk to. Probably if you got taken out or not, it probably goes a long way into determining how much you like
exactly.
The track.
Results impact feeling quite often, don't they?
Yes. I, as a matter of fact, am not a huge fan of Chicagoland at the moment due to my last Xfinity race there. But where do you?
Of course. But if you won, it'd be your favorite, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love it. Right. But so this should be fun. Sorry, I'm trying to do a couple things at once here.
Oh, you're good.
For any of the Skippy Formula One racers who are watching right now and are noting issues with that session, we are tracking on that and trying to get it fixed. I guess it was just a really slow launch. So the session should be up and everybody can go and enter that now is the word I'm getting here. So so what would it be a Sunday night Skippy race night without some shenanigans on the front end? But
it's you kind of briefly talked about some of the beginnings. It's wild to me to see how far it's come and quite literally just over a year since it started. So the idea that there are 2 events running tonight, it's kind of amazing. So yeah, trying to push the envelope. You guys are going to have some growing pains along the way. But it's cool to see how far it's come.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first couple of races. How many? What was the grid? Season 1, race 1, 2, 3, and all that.
So I can say, I remember the first. I think it was 2 weeks. We ran what we just called practice races, and it was really just a way for us to just kind of figure out how it worked. I don't think at the time, the 3 of us at the start, it was Jason, Ian, and myself getting things off the ground. And at the time, I don't recall any of us having any experience running a league or really even hosting races, So it was like just trying to figure it all from the start. So I would say though we had a pretty good turnout for the first few races. I wouldn't say we were somewhere in the 20 range, which I thought was kind of amazing. I think that and that was within a week or 2 of us even coming together with it. So I think that it really showed that there was an interest for Skippy racing at a time that worked for, your average American, where a lot of them were focused on European time zones, Australian time zones, things like that. So yeah, I think that we had such a great turnout right out the gate. Just showed that there was a desire for it. I think that it's flourished so much. It certainly is part of that, but of course, as all the work that goes into it from the admins that have been kicking it for the last 12 months. So yeah.
Yeah, it's I joined, I think it was either at the very tail end of season 1 or maybe it was season 2. I honestly don't remember at this point. It all kind of feels like a blur, but it felt really well run from the get-go. And so for having no experience, with even hosting races, I'd say
Yeah.
that you guys set down some pretty good principles right off the bat. And I know one of the reasons that drew me to it was, I'm primarily oval, and I wanted
Mhm.
to learn how to race road. And from what I understand, Skippy's the best way to do that. And yeah, the you guys were always just super open and welcoming, and I do feel like I've gotten better, even though I
Yeah.
don't really race race nights anymore.
Yeah.
Just from that initial experience, and then just kind of listening and all that. I'm no longer afraid of the road courses when we
Right.
get to them in NASCAR. So.
Sure. I mean, I feel like it really does blow my mind how far it's come. I definitely did not have a very big hand in it. I created the forum thread looking for a league like this,
Mm.
and Jason and Ian came and replied to it, and were kind of like, "Hey, me too, and I'm willing to do some work to put one together if there isn't one." I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it," you know. And I mean, I remember sitting down and starting the sporting code, sitting on my couch one night, um, just starting to put it together. And so my contributions were small. I definitely wasn't an admin for very long. My interest was really racing and that piece of it. And I definitely didn't have the eye for the stewarding aspect. Um, even with the irony of my last name, but
It's
the
it's too perfect.
really honestly, I mean, Jason, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but I mean, he really did just put in so much time being thoughtful about making decisions that would create an environment that people wanted to come to. I mean, we've all been in leagues where it's really poorly run, and whether that's the absence of effort or just poor decision making, we've just seen those. I mean, many of those I know for a fact both of us have. We've been in those leagues together.
Yep.
Um, but it really just takes somebody who cares, and I think Jason's definitely was the person that drove that and just made great decisions. And a lot of it too is just bringing people in that really cared. And I think it's often a situation where you see a league form and it's like, the people that start it just want, I just want it to be me and my other friend, and we're going to run everything forever. In the last 12 months, I mean, how many people have stepped up, and
Mm.
how many people have Jason and Ian and crew been open to joining as admins and being able to make decisions and drive the league forward in a positive way. I mean, a lot. I think there's been 6 or 7, and I think that's unique, and that brings a different eye to the to the equation as well. So I think it really has gone far beyond anything I expected it could be, and it really just has everything to do with the time and effort that those guys put into it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that sticks out is just the amount of ownership it feels like all of us seem to have with it, which goes a long way.
Hmm.
To your point, it's not one or two people just kind of randomly making decisions, and it's sometimes you do need to make decisions even if they're
Yeah,
potentially unpopular, but that's just kind
sure.
of the that dems the brakes, as they say. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think for the most part, there's a lot of desire to at least take the temperature of the room before anything drastic happens, or even anything not drastic happens. Just kind of
sure.
figure out what people want, not just what we think we want. But at any rate, it's to your point, just kind of really blown up, and the fact that yeah, we're racing two races now on Sunday evenings, and really opening that up. One thing to point out, if anybody's watching, is you do not need to be a league member. These are hosted. These are not run under the league sessions. So if you're below that 1700 I rating, and you just want to run with some of the guys that you're watching and learn a little bit, you can go in the Discord, and there's you will improve just talking to the folks that are running these races. And Um,
Yeah.
it's just a neat thing, and we
Yeah, I
broadcast it
mean,
for you, so there you go.
right. Yeah, very very well done every week, might I add. The I think that's one thing that's so unique about it. I'm definitely not as active as I used to be, but I feel as welcomed, when I do come around, today as I've ever have in the past. Everybody's super accommodating and just friendly, and it's easy to, or I guess I don't know the best way to say it, but it really is just a good place of people who are open and willing to share information and just folks that want to have a great time. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I think everybody just wants good, clean, fun racing, and they're willing to help other people, to get that. And that really just makes the whole thing better. And when you see what you specifically do on Sunday nights, like that's a piece of the puzzle. It's certainly a big piece of the puzzle with these races, but there's stuff going on every night with this
Hmm.
crew. Whether it's a practice race or just open sessions or just people around trying to help each other out and have a good time doing it. So it really is, I think, more than a league. I mean, it's a community at this point, of people just kind of being there and open to coaching people, being coached, practice races, just constant development and just fun times, frankly.
Yeah, I think that a couple of the drivers have even said, of course they still do help out and they want to make other people better, but it's to their own detriment to some extent because now they're just increasing the
Hmm.
level of competition throughout the playing field, and it would be easy to just kind of for the faster guys to kind of sit back and play I Have a Secret and just
Oh yeah,
dominate, but that's not what happens, and it's just really cool to see.
agreed.
Well, we've got 3 minutes left in our open qualifying session here right now. Nikolai Wood holding the provisional pole by actually quite a bit, nearly, a little over zero point 0.6 seconds, which is pretty big gap when you look at the rest of the field. Andrew Cole in second here, who we're focused on. And while we're talking about that, while we have some time, let me bring up real quick, if I can find them. Yep, there we go. I do believe these are up to date. These are the standings for the Skippy Formula 2 series. Currently, Jake, after a great race, jumping up one spot into the top spot. Peter Lee and Ian Worrell are tied for second. So keep your eye on Peter and Ian tonight. And not to mention, they're only 3 points behind Jake. So a real tight battle there for the season podium, if you will. But Daniel Pogowski obviously making a huge run. Same thing with Pim, up 4 spots for each of those guys. Andrew Cole back in action. We're focused on him right now. I think he missed a race or two, but we'll see how he does tonight. You can see the stats there for him are pretty good. 2 top 5s in his 2 starts, and I think those are the big things that really stuck out. And right now we're showing 12 drivers that are going to be taking the grid, although only 10 have put down a qualifying time at the moment. And Andrew Cole takes over. Let's see. Looking back down through the field, here's Peter that we were talking about earlier, and I want to see if this works. No, it's not gonna work. So as I said, I got a new setup here. So I'm using a 2 PC streaming thing, but this isn't as simple as setting up your streaming PC and letting it do its thing, because I have to control the actual computer that's running iRacing, because that's where the overlay is, and it needs to be on that same PC. So I've got quite this little setup going here. So it's going to be a little disjointed at first, but this is
I think
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing people don't understand is how intricate some of these setups can be. Forget sim racing, but like broadcasting sim racing, it's not as simple as maybe it can be presented as at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's I've been doing a lot of it's been fun. It's a different way. I've said this before, just a different way to enjoy iRacing and the
Yeah,
subscription that I'm paying for anyway, but it definitely has its challenges, and but it's it is interesting, and it's a challenge for sure. Sometimes I almost dread doing the broadcast more than actually going and doing the race if I don't know the track, because I'm just like, holy cow, there's a lot, especially in those second races when we start getting 40 plus drivers on the grid. So always a good time though. We have ended our qualifying session time. However, drivers who are out there completing their lap will get an opportunity to finish said lap. And speaking of which, there's Pagowski, who doesn't quite hit the mark on that one. Who else is out there? Looks like Pim's about to finish up his fifth lap. Or, I'm sorry, sixth lap, I believe. And that'll jump him up to third. Wow, that was a great last effort there. Let's see, Rich Butler. I do believe he's got in into the line. So, have you been racing much Skippy lately, or?
No, I can't say that I have. I've been participating in this wonderful Winter Challenge series that you may or may not be familiar with.
Is that right? Tell me more
It,
about that Winter Challenge series.
it is like the highlight of my iRacing life right now. What I find so fascinating about it is that we get to go and participate in extremely different forms of racing, every month. And for me, as somebody who just likes to dabble in, pretty much anything with a couple tires and a motor and hopefully a steering wheel, it's been a great time. So the race we had with the sprint cars on a dirt oval was an absolute blast. And now we're kind of preparing ourselves for the Daytona 250 in a couple weeks here, which the practice race we did last night was just a great time, and like the rest of the league, it was a lot of fun to kind of have an opportunity to help some of the guys who don't do a whole lot of left turning figure out how that works and give them a little bit of information that they can use to help them move forward. But yeah, that series has been phenomenal, and very excited to finish out over the next 2 months.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with that. The 2 races remaining, really. Adam Wright's kind of walking away with the overall championship, but we'll have the Daytona 250 same weekend as the actual Daytona 500 and the iRacing event, the Daytona 500. So we're gonna get our fill at Daytona. That
My
weekend.
arms hurt already.
Valentine's. Exactly. Exactly right. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's see if we can't.
Game time.
Yeah. See if we can't listen into the race.
All right, couple things. This track has got a boatload of slowdowns on it. It's very, very easy to get a slowdown. If you do get a slowdown, please make sure that when you are slowing down for it, you pull out of the racing line so you're not impeding anybody. Lots of easy off tracks. It is a pain in the backside with cold tires, as we all know. Aqua Minerale, do I have to say any more? Watch out for that one. And Pim, no, I don't think two side-by-side works going through there somehow. Apart from that, I think we're good. Anybody got any questions?
Two-stopper, isn't it?
Yes, sir, two-stopper.
And what about the fast repairs?
Race should be about 35 minutes.
Got it.
Okay, that's about it. We've got 35 seconds left gridding.
Good luck. Good luck.
And there you have it. We've got 35-minute race. They will be forced to do two pit stops due to the fuel limitations that we have on the cars. And that should make it real interesting with these 2-ish minute laps. But it's time to go racing. Your eye on Barney there. Lights
Let's
are
go.
out. I'm ready. So Andrew Cole's going to lead the charge down. And here's our first. There we go. That's the 33 rounds. That's going to be Pim Luth. Looks like Dana Pogowski's caught up in it. Outside of that, though, I think we're in the clear for the time being. Andrew Cole and Nikolai Wood putting quite a gap on the field already.
Yeah, that lunge to the first turn can be a little misleading there. Cold tires, a little bit of nerves. Might miss it by a couple feet and ends in disaster. I can safely say I've been there plenty of times.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Although it does look like overall everything is doing all right, except I'm just getting word in here that Ian. No, looks like he actually made it all right. I was getting indications that he wrecked, but. And I gotta say, is that a new paint scheme? Oh, the 88 Robert Longatano's around. Looks like he got a little loose there, although does not make contact with anything. He's gonna get going right away. No issues there. And look at that. Holy cow. We've got now a nearly 5-second gap. Andrew and Nikolai leading the field. Here's Peter Lee and Ian Worrell will be the next twosome there. While we're focused on Peter, let's see.
Looks like those two guys are walking away with this thing right off the gate.
Yeah, they don't seem to be slowing down either. Holy cow.
Oh, that's great, and that's really good close racing right there. You can already tell that having to play a little bit of defense.
Right along board here with
Ooh,
Nikolai.
pulled it a little loose. Yep. Should be interesting coming. No, he backed off. That was good. Smart. Tough place to make a pass. Yeah, he got a little loose coming out of that final corner.
It'll be 2-3 laps or so before those tires get warm, as we know. But it's a long race. It's a 35-minute race, and they still. Oh, speaking of which.
Oh no!
Oh, and Andrew's not gonna be able to check up.
Let's see if he's got damage. He must. Yeah, his left front looks down. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
You hate to see it. Looks like Nikolai is going
his
to.
left front's gone. Yeah.
Oh, and we got a tire rolling. Oh.
Yeah, that's trouble.
Yeah. And it looks like the tire may catch back up. And that's going to be Andrew off. So now he's going to tow. That's going to leave Peter Lee in sole possession of first place by quite a bit. Barry Stockdale now nearly 3 seconds back.
I mean, imagine his viewpoint as he sees all this going down.
Holy cow.
Don't mind if I do. Right on to P1.
So he sets the purple lap here too early. But, oh. Gas is going to take it right away. I'm going to try something here. We got our video streams up, but it doesn't seem to be working. So let me try one more thing.
Curious to see if Peter Lee can keep his lap times up with a little less than 3.5 second gap to second place. Sometimes you get that lead, especially in a potentially uncomfortable situation. Might get a little cautious, might be a little bit more conservative. Curious to see if he can keep his times up.
Yeah, we've talked about this in other races where it's almost worse being up by yourself in the lead because
Absolutely.
you've really got to hit your marks. I know some people are probably really revel in that and are really good at it, but I know on the very rare occasion that I found myself there, it can be even more distracting because you're like, oh boy, because now I got nobody but myself to blame if something goes wrong.
I completely agree. I mean, I always tend to find that I enjoy being behind someone because it helps me hit my marks, if that makes any sense. Where I don't know, it's almost like a dance at that point. I'm just able to follow and hit the marks as they hit the marks, and I'm faster that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Looks like he's pulling out a little bit more, a little over 3.5 seconds at this point.
Yeah, it's
if he can bring it home.
He's gaining every single sector so far, and I guess in part because he's setting green sectors for himself. So makes sense, as the tires get in and worked in and the field goes down. But nonetheless,
Absolutely.
really cool to see Peter just kind of taking the race by the horns and walking away with it at the moment. And you can see the intervals on the timing tower here. We do have a relatively close race with Pagowski and Phil Erikellian.
Yeah, I mean, the gap's now a little under 5.5 seconds. Something must have happened there to Barry to help him spread that a touch more, but looks like it's his race to lose at this point. Oh, and he just went really wide. He caught it. All right. Whew.
I
got nervous for him.
What we were talking about, right?
Wow, it is. I mean, it really is. You'd love to know what's going through somebody's mind in this moment. He lost a good second there.
Phil's gonna go around. So he was battling with Pagowski, and there's a little bit of contact there, but it looked like they had made it through. But then Phil went around, so that was a nice little battle they had going there for at least a little bit.
Oh no, Peter just went around. Got a little wide.
So he's got a 5-second. Oh,
he's way around. Yeah. See,
You're
got a little
around.
wide getting into turn 12 there, which is a really, really challenging corner to get into. If you're carrying a lot of speed there, you really like to go far left, and if you just put that left rear off, I mean, that's all it takes. I found that out the hard way quite a bit in practice today. I find that corner especially, like getting into that little section is really interesting, and I kind of have the same feeling about 16 and 17. We see him going into it now. It's a very slight bend to the right, setting up for this hard left corner, but that weight shift, if you're going in there hard enough and you don't get the weight going the other direction quick enough, you start to make your corner, you're going to have some trouble. So Imola is definitely an interesting, as I was going through it, preparing for this tonight, I mean, just trying to understand, what some of these guys are going to be dealing with tonight. Those two corners were definitely jumped out at me as being something that if you're not on your game or you kind of lose that mental focus for even half a second, that's all it's going to take, and you're gonna find yourself in trouble. And we saw it with Peter. I mean, he had a 5.5 second lead and dropped a left rear onto that grass or that slick stuff, and that was that. And he finds himself now down in fifth.
Well, I finally got the videos working, but Peter's stream seems to be down. So all that work for nothing. All right, well, focus on.
Oh, we'll make use of it here in a little while.
That's right. Long night of broadcasting left to go, at any rate. But you can see Nikolai Wood trying to charge up to the front, currently sitting in P10, and has the fastest lap of the evening thus far. Barry Stockdale, let's bring up those sector times once again. I do love this graphic. You can see Dan Pogowski is slowly but surely making his way to that gearbox. Um, and as we've seen already, lap 5, consistency is going to be king tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, I know for me, and I'm sure many others, sometimes it's almost worse when you see someone catching you very slowly, because it gives you more time to feel the dread of what's inevitable. It's one thing if like, hey, this guy's going to catch me in 2 laps because he's 2 seconds faster than me a lap. But if he's catching you at like 4/10, 5/10 a lap, you're like, oh man, this is going to happen. It's just going to take 6 or 7 laps to happen. It's almost worse. It almost makes you more nervous because you have so much more time to think about it.
Well, and then I start wondering, like, well, how the heck are they doing that? Like, where am I losing my
Right,
time?
right.
What
Absolutely.
do they know that I don't?
Sometimes it's best to just put your blinders on and just get down to business and
Mm-hmm.
let them fall where they fall.
You can
Yeah,
see,
you can start to see these guys are settling in now at this point of the race.
yeah, Dan got a little loose there and off track, so he had a pretty bad sector, but overall he's still gaining ground. Back from him. Oh, I was looking at Ian there. That's the view we want to be looking at up to the leader. Either way, Dan getting some pretty good laps in there. I'm curious to see. Actually, now that I know what I'm looking at here, Ian actually having some pace and slowly working his way up. So keep your eye on that. 1 second now, the difference between Barry and Dan, and another second back yet to Ian. So we'll see what
Yeah, if you
happens.
look at the last couple laps for Ian, I mean, he's definitely been making a lot of progress in his lap times. Lap 3 was 2:06.5. He's chunked that down to his 2:06.1 to 2:05.8. So he's cutting 3 or 4 tenths a lap out of his own lap time. So maybe for him, seeing the guys in front, giving him that carrot to chase, maybe it's paying off for him. Ooh, somebody went wide there. 2 guys went wide. Follow the leader.
Oh, is that both of them? Holy
Both
cow.
guys. Ian just jumped 2 spots. Straight to the lead.
All right. Well, I want to look real quick here at. We haven't done any replays here tonight yet, so we'll just take a look. There's Gasket. Yeah, just they both kind of went.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they'd made contact or something, but not the
I
case.
mean, you know how that goes. Sometimes you get so focused on the person in front of you, you follow their own mistake. Let's see
Fall
if
right into the
Ian can
wall.
keep it together and keep it going forward. Seems like P1 is a curse so far tonight.
Yeah. No. Anybody who gets up there hasn't held on onto it for too long.
I mean, I think that just highlights how much sim racing can really affect you. It can really get to your nerves. It's a challenge. You see yourself, you're in P1, you're doing your thing, and you just make a small lapse of judgment for a half a second or lose focus, and it all kind of goes away. So I think it's just kind of a testament to how engaged you can get within the race.
Yeah, the concentration is the exact right way to put that. And you'd think, okay, well, I'm even if it's virtually, I'm driving fast and all that, but you kind of lose your sense of speed after a while, and especially when there's not that real world implication of
Right.
going off and dying.
Right.
It's
That
very
helps.
easy to to kind of just lull yourself, especially when you think about it. The whole point of practicing is just getting into that rhythm and that groove, and almost the track and the car being second nature to you. So by definition, that kind of lulls you into a little bit of a comfort zone, which is good, but then you got to be mentally tough and
Absolutely.
maintain that concentration.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme. I mean, watching people, get better and improve in their lap times and so forth. That's a huge thing. But you find yourself really quickly realizing that the next big thing you have to face is the mental game, and that is almost equally as important as having all of the other skill sets put in place.
So we got our pit strategy coming to play here. You can see right down pit lane, just about everybody. We'll checking out the exit here. This is gonna be an interesting. Let's bring up the track map. So this is gonna be a 2-stop race, as we mentioned. And it looks like Andrew Cole not going to take it. So he's gonna stay out and try to get some, just stay on that clean air. He's now out of the traffic as opposed to these other guys who will be right near each other. You can see him coming off pit road now. So we will see. The other thing I wanted to show here, if it will work, which is a big if. Not gonna work.
It looks like Ian got right back to business coming out of the pits. I know, for me, it definitely can be jarring to, kind of lose your sense of consistency. You kind of you're in the race, you're doing it for 20 minutes, and you're hitting your marks. You're doing your job, and then you come into the pits, and it's almost like you take a deep breath and you kind of come out of that rhythm, and then to get back onto the circuit, it can be a challenge to find those marks again right out the gate. But it looks like Ian's done a pretty good job of getting right back to it. It looks like with only a 10-second gap, as soon as Cole decides to come on in, retake his P1.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pit lane time. So total time spent on pit lane, close to a minute. So anywhere between high 40 seconds and in a minute or so. Well, I had a nice little, neat little feature that I was going to try to show off, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. On the track map, it would show where the calculated pit exit, where you would come out after a pit stop, basically. So,
Oh, very cool.
yeah, we'll see if we can't refresh that and get it working. But at any rate, you can see the interval now increasing just a little bit. The last lap times, well, I guess it's going to be a little messed up because Ian hit.
It's out lap there, yeah. Yeah, but like I said, he really did come right back to it. So I'll be curious to see what his lap time is this time around. I mean, It just looks good. He's taking advantage of all the points of the track, hitting his marks. It just looks clean. And he's got himself a nice, nearly 10-second gap. P2, or what would be P2 as we cycle through the pits here.
Got a great battle with Dan Pagowski passing Rich Butler, and a little further back, Phil Eric Kelly. Oh, Pagowski's going to go around, keeps it out of traffic, but that's going to let Jake by 2.
Wow.
Holy cow. How they kept that clean is...
Great defensive driving there.
And Dan not missing a beat. He's ready to go. He's charging his way back up the field. Let's ride on board here. Jake down a lap. I don't know. Down 3 laps, actually. Holy cow. I missed something. So Rich Butler hanging on for dear life here. This is definitely the closest racing action we've got going on, as Cole's going to dip into pit road. So presumably Ian takes back the lead here.
Yep, he's about to come across the start-finish line right now. Cole hasn't quite made it to his spot yet, so yeah, he'll fall back pretty hard here. Could be an
And
interesting strategy. I wonder if his thought process is he could take a little bit less fuel in the second stop.
yeah, I got to imagine after the um, probably a little frustrated having given up the top spot, so trying a different strategy out. And this is a great way to test these theories out before the Skippy Formula One race, and kind of see what just another data point, for you, another
Absolutely.
couple practices and down pit lane, and because that can really bite you one way or another.
Yeah, I won't talk about the time that I missed my pit completely and had to do it twice. So I made 2 pit stops too, but it was a 1 pit stop race. So, and
you
unfortunately, they didn't let me bank it to the next week.
you
So
were you were just very forward thinking.
yeah, I did my best.
Yeah.
It happens.
Great.
Yeah, if anything, Ian's actually even improved on his lap times. His first one back was a 2:05.1, so he was 7/10 off or faster than his fastest time previously. So he's really found his pace. Got a healthy 12-second lead there.
So with
See if he
everybody,
can.
yeah, they've all done their first pit stop here in dang 12 seconds. So, but once again, his race to lose. We've said that
Absolutely.
already tonight. So
Hate to be the jinx for all of
yeah.
our P1 guys here, but let's see what happens. Certainly making it interesting for us. Yeah, even dropping it further. Last lap was a 2:04.5, so he's just crushing it.
For any Jake Ashe fans out there, we are getting word there that it was a mechanical error, malfunction, if you will, with his VR headset. So he's basically out there running laps for the experience at this point due to iRacing having crashed earlier.
The mechanical failures of the sim racing world are always interesting. It can be any number of things. My bolt came loose. My USB hub died. I mean, you name it.
Tell you
I
what,
almost wonder if there were more chances for something to fail in these things than an actual race car.
I know
Probably more
it.
so than a Skippy if you think about how simplistic that car is.
Seriously, the little more delicate when you're talking all the electrons, and everybody's got custom rigs and third
Oh
party
man, yeah.
software, and it can get a little overwhelming.
I know that feeling.
I'm gonna bring up gap now. So instead of interval, this is gonna be time to the leader, which is Ian at the moment. Of course, we're focusing in on him, just to give everybody just a little better sense. Let's run through the field real quick, Ian. We've been looking at him again, just consistent racing and working his way up into second. Although Ian is kind of walking away from him at the moment, anything is still possible. Peter Lee is currently sitting in the last podium spot. And he's got a good solid 3 seconds, as you can see in the background there. Barry Stockdale leading the race at 1 point in P4. And Phil Arikelian coming around the same corner there in 5th. With Dana Pagowski off track once again. This poor guy, man, he has got speed, but just needs to keep it on the track a little bit. I think he'd be leading the race if it weren't for all that, but
Tell you, if you've got to take something, I'd rather have the speed, and I'll figure out the control later. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I can keep it
It's
on the
like,
track going 10 miles an hour, but it's
yeah,
not gonna.
absolutely. I'm the most safe, consistent guy ever. You'll see me in 34th though.
Well, here's Rich Butler looking like he's about to lose P7 to Andrew Cole.
Oh, this should be a phenomenal race down here to the first corner. That's smart. Smart backing off there.
Yeah.
To fight another day.
A little further back now, Nikolai Wood in 9th, and you can see right behind him there, about to cross the start-finish line, Robert Longatano in 10th. And then our 2 cars a couple laps down, Keith Lee in the number 61 machine, and Jake Ashe, previously mentioned, rocking a new paint scheme there. Sitting in 12th, and that's our field. Pretty good racing so far. I'm looking at, let's real quick look at best times. Just want to pull that up. If I can find it. There we go. And get a sense of where it was at. Ian setting the fastest lap of the evening at the moment, and by a fairly good margin, it would appear. Well, I don't know. Nikolai also has got some speed. Pretty tight grouping there, if you ask me.
We've got a pretty good race here developing for 6th place. These 3 guys, Andrew, Daniel, and Rich, are definitely making an interesting push here to try to make a race of it. At the moment, a little bit more Daniel and Rich, but should be an interesting draft here down to turn 1. See if Rich decides to make a move. See if he can get it to stick. Definitely got position. See if he can outbrake him.
Here we go.
Lots of respect there.
Yep.
Lots of room. Not quite able to make it happen on the inside. Daniel did a good job maintaining that momentum on the out.
Yeah, it's really good. That's a really good race, and even though Rich didn't quite pull it off, he's going to live to fight another turn here. Maybe work his way back up.
Yeah, it seems like if you can come out of that final corner, even within like half a second or so, that the draft is so strong going into turn 1. With all of that time you have a really good opportunity there. And if you can hold on to it long enough, even if you can't make it happen in turn 1, even going into that second chicane, you kind of have a better opportunity there even.
I just
Yeah,
realized
these guys are really getting after it.
Yeah, they're pretty good, and I just realized we're now inside of 7 minutes. I've been kind of glued to the action here. Just keep that in mind. A little over 2-minute laps, so we are running out of turns and opportunities for these guys. Although, if you look, I do believe we still have one more pit stop remaining. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so there you go. Never mind. Ian's now in as we talk about it. Phil going in as well for his second. And here we go. Rich in too.
Yeah, it looks like Rich decided to look like he potentially did the opposite of what Daniel was going to do. So Daniel stayed out. Rich went in. Curious how that'll shake out once those 2 guys make their pit stops.
Well, it's going to leave Pim out there in the lead by a solid 6 seconds. And let's get a sense of if he has been... There we go. Yeah, he's had some pace over Peter Lee for the time being, so... Will be interesting to see where he comes out and when he decides to pit there. Like I said, there isn't much time remaining to get that stop in. And honestly, I don't know with their fuel loads how many laps that they could do even in theory. So
yeah, that would be awesome to know. I'm curious how that's going to shake this up a little bit. I mean, certainly Ian had a good 15-second advantage when those started. Assuming he can kind of bring it home. You should have no problem there.
So yeah, interesting. Andrew Cole pit on lap 9 and Ian pit on lap 13. And right now, I think Andrew's got about 5 seconds, looks like.
Oh, and he's already got 2 stops.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's interesting.
Interesting.
I don't know. I
miss that?
got caught napping on that one too. I don't know how the heck.
Somebody's playing 4D chess over here.
Yeah, I'll say. What was
Interesting.
their last pit lap time? 53. I don't know. Ian even had 8 seconds less in pit road too, so I don't even know.
Huh.
I don't know what to say about that, but Andrew Cole is going to come across start finish line as your new leader here. Him, Peter, Barry, and Dan all in pit road now. And sure enough, that's going to leave
Let's see what it looks like when they come back across. Normally so engaged driving, I'm not paying too much attention to the pylon in the middle of the pits, but it's amazing how crazy and jumbled it gets. Oh, wow, so it looks like Ian's about 4.5 seconds behind and after the pit stops. Interesting.
He made it up.
Looks like Rich is going to stay out again. Curious how that's going to work out for him.
You can see lap 13, 14 are a little messed up there because that's when Ian pit, but it looked like Cole had him for the laps, or for lap 11, I guess. That's going to be the only one where it really makes sense because lap 10's also messed up for Cole. So this isn't a super helpful graphic at the moment. Let's look at there. Yeah, you can see Ian making up time, and that is reflected. Now we're down to a 4-second gap. Started around 5 seconds. But that being said, we're now inside of 3 minutes, and so
you're only talking a lap and a half to go here.
Yep. And once we cross the start finish line, got to imagine that's going to be the white flag. So Ian better get on his horse and giddy up.
Well, not to put the curse on it, but we know what happens to people in P1.
I'm telling you, man, what a crazy race. So as we take the white flag here, just a quick rundown: Andrew Cole, Ian Worrell, Pimluth, Nikolai Wood, Peter Lee, Barry Stockdale, Phil Eric Kellian, Dan Pagowski, Rich Butler, Robert Longatano, and then both Keith Lee and Jake Ashe a couple laps down. So this is that's your order as they go. Looks like our podium might be set based on the gaps, but I just don't know. That's a lot of time to make up in just one lap.
That is an awful confident statement to make, given what we've seen thus far. And I'm trying. I've been going back and looking at the lap times, trying to understand where Andrew got that pit stop, and I'm guessing it must have been lap 2-3. I think that was when he spun, right?
Yeah, it was early.
So maybe that's when he got his first pit stop in, and we just didn't even notice. His times were looking pretty phenomenal there for a while. Maybe he was just eating that time up and just kind of caught it without us noticing.
Well, we'll roll with that, but whatever he did, it's working.
I have some questions for this man.
Yeah.
What kind of voodoo stuff did you make happen there? I mean, Ian's taken a solid second out of the gap in this lap. I'm sure he wishes if things end this way, he had another lap or two to see what he could do.
I mean, 2 more laps, I think he would have been there, but yeah, this is...
Yeah, he's coming on to the end here. I mean, this is the part where you just tense up. You've got 2 corners to make. Try not to make a mistake. Just want to bring it home for a win. It looks like he's going to do just that.
So Andrew Cole able to hang on. He's going to take the checkered flag here at Imola. Congratulations to Andrew Cole, Ian Worrell. Great run there at the end for P2. And Pim Luth's going to round out your podium here as he rounds the last couple of turns. Very comfortable lead over Peter Lee. And we do got some good racing going on back here, actually. So there's Peter Lee, presumptive 4th place, barring anything. But Kellyan making the move here on Barry Stockdale's. They're going in. Locks up just a little bit there, but is able to make it work. And that's going to be a last couple turn pass there. Brings home P5, Barry Stockdale in P6. And that was Jake Ashe, who's a couple laps down behind him, but there's Dan Pogowski in P7. And Rich Butler will bring home P8 up 1 spot. And a little further back here, Nikolai Wood and Robert Longitano. And that was a fairly recent pass as well. Little bit of a bobble there. Is Robert going to have enough room? There's a little bit of time left. I just don't think he's going to have quite enough. Oh, man.
Drag race to the end. What an action-packed race.
Whew.
I mean, truly, we saw, P1 lose it at least 3 times. See the pressure build up for some of these guys. But yeah, what an interesting race.
Yeah, that was...
Lots of action.
Definitely kept me on my toes.
Absolutely. Some turn 1 shenanigans right at the start. Yeah, what a phenomenal way to kind of get it going.
Really, really exciting stuff. Let's see. We are... Oh, my gosh, look at the time. So we're late. We're going to go ahead to our intermission screen here. I will put up the timer if there is even a timer, but we'll get loaded up into the Skippy Formula 1 session, and we will catch everybody on the flip side. You in a bit. All right, welcome back. That was real quick. I barely had time to go go use the restroom, but welcome to Sunday Night Skippy. This is going to be the Skippy Formula 1 race here at Imola. And if you were tuning into the Skippy Formula 2 race, you know just a little bit about what's in store for this evening. It's going to be a fantastic night of racing action with some fuel strategy involved, and I'm sure lots of very close racing. Joining me once again is Chris Stewart. Welcome back.
Thanks, sir.
And man alive, I'm trying to get everything turned over here. This has been quite the entertaining night. I honestly, for only 12 drivers that grid in that first race, super exciting to watch. And
Absolutely.
And so now we've got 40 something drivers. So I guess multiply by 4, and I think that's what we're in store for tonight.
Oh man, I think coming into it, first race in the booth, 12 drivers. It was wild and crazy. I don't know what in the world we're gonna do with 40 guys in here. I'm a little nervous, if I'm being honest.
I think we're gonna have to have our replay buttons ready, because
I'm gonna start watching some of the guys in the back at the start and just see what happens, I guess.
All right, well, I'm gonna check off here real quick and try to do the race thing meeting.
Race start.
Walter, if you're talking, I'm not hearing anything.
Black flags, and then start the driver's meeting.
I think you're broadcasting to the spectators.
Can anybody hear me? I think our experiment may have failed.
It looks like it's going to the spectators channel in the game.
Can anybody hear me? Hello? Can anybody hear me now?
Everyone can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got this figured out finally, I think. All right, well, in that case, welcome to the drivers' meeting. This week, we're going to be racing at Imola, and I just want to remind everybody that we have twice the amount of cars in a race that's twice as long as an official race. So just adopt that our league mentality of racing cleanly and patiently. If you lose control of your car at any time, we expect you to lock your brakes. If you do not lock your brakes, you will be at fault for any incidents created by your car's trajectory, direct or indirect. We never say that a certain corner is off limits, but we do not have any quote-unquote no passing zones. However, we do take risk into account when investigating incidents and deducting safety points. The more risk a driver contributes to a situation, the greater our expectation that they execute their intended move safely and with precision. For example, this mentality has been applied to drivers choosing to go 3 wide, overtaking using an unconventional line, or simply just following too closely. We do police dive bombs and have a very specific definition for them within Sunday Night Skippy. A dive bomb to us happens when an overtaking driver does not yield a corner after failing to overlap at the wheels by turn-in. If you are in a braking zone for a corner and fail to get overlap, it is your job to back out of the corner. The driver ahead has every right to the full racing line. If a dive bomb results in a contact, it is a Cat 3, which will cost you 7 safety points, which takes 7 races to undo, and the dive bomber starts the next race with a drive-through penalty. Blue flags are instructional, not informational. What this means is that as soon as a driver receives a blue flag, they have until the end of the next complex of corners to let faster cars by unimpeded, and should not resume racing until their blue flag is cleared. Any battles under blue flags are on hold. Pass attempts between cars who are on the same lap under blue flag conditions are protestable. Voice comms should only be used coordinated with lapped traffic and preventing dangerous situations. If you have anything to say about anything which has already happened, even if it's an apology, save it for after the race and send it over Discord or an iRacing message. As a reminder, Turn 1 at this track is infamous as being the location Senna suffered fatal injuries after leaving the track and striking a concrete barrier at high speed. We ask that post-race, if you choose to pile up, you do so on part of the main straight or after Turn 2 to avoid inadvertently characterizing an event which many race fans consider sacred. We expect an unusually high number of slowdowns this week. If you receive a slowdown, we expect you to serve it as safely, gradually, and early as possible. We don't want to see drivers dropping way below race pace to desperately avoid receiving a black flag shortly before their timer expires. Before you scrub speed to serve a slowdown, ensure that your car is positioned extremely offline so that no drivers behind you will be caught off guard. And unless there's any questions, you can start your engines.
Chris, real quick.
Yeah, go. Yeah, go.
Chris, question.
Go ahead.
Regarding slowdowns, should we call them out over comms or not?
I'll let Walter field that one.
If you feel it's necessary, by all means, but under no circumstances feel obligated to call every slowdown out. If you can't position your car to communicate that, then sure, let everyone know over voice chat.
Are we required to serve those slowdowns off the racing line?
Yep.
Yeah, so the one scenario I would say that you should probably call it out is if you get a slowdown in a place where someone follows you offline thinking you're trying to break draft, because that'll kind of prevent you from safely doing the slowdown. So it might just be helpful to tell them if they decide to follow you. But you don't have to at that. But there might be a little bit of risk in them giving you a little tickle.
That makes sense. And on the Senna thing, I think we were talking about just meeting up in Tamburello after the race.
Are we still doing bonus points for laps led? I haven't seen that reflected in the Dan Lisa.
We should be, but we can follow that up after the race. All right. Any other questions about the rules in the race ahead?
All right. There we go. We're gridding. All right. Let me get these headphones off and put my other headphones back on so I can hear you, Chris. Making this as complicated as possible.
That was a nice touch.
I was like, I gotta reword the do the writing a little bit there. But yeah, well, I got to do the personalized. They asked me to do the um, driver's meeting, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's give it
no,
a
I think that
shot.
makes a lot of sense, and that was, I assume, going to the stream as well.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. I think it was. I thought
I think
maybe
it
there'd
was.
be a
I
little
was
bit
I
of
was trying to
feedback.
get it up.
Yeah.
No, I think it was fine. I kind of have it up on the side here watching as I'm going. I think it was.
All right. Well, we didn't put the probably should have put the qualifying grid up, but here you go. Edwin Vinerio gets a pole position. Connor Tolman on the front row with him, and the lights are out, and we've got a green flag, and we're off.
So far, so clean from the back. Curious how turn one's going to go here. Swarm of skippies dive into turn one at Imola.
Ooh, looks like something may have happened a little
Yeah,
further back.
Daniel wasn't too bad. Daniel definitely got a little airborne there, but it seems like everybody's going to get away okay. Can't tell if he has any damage, but nothing super serious. They're pretty clean.
I'm showing Bill Groombridge in the back in pit road there. Looks like he may have had some issues, but other than that, I'm showing a couple guys going off track. Peter Lee, Pim Luth, Dan Pagowski, Jeff Torbeck, Carter Stickney, all potentially involved with that crash. We'll go back and look here in a little bit.
Yeah, all things considered, it seems like a pretty nice getaway for most of these guys. It's no easy feat to stick 40 skippies in the first couple corners at Imola and not have but so much carnage.
It's a really good point. The fact that only a handful were involved in a turn one with 40 skippies coming down the pipe there. Pretty impressive. Also impressive, Edwin and Connor kind of, I won't say pulling away because it does look like Pete is slowly working his way back up to the gearbox there. Really kind of surprised that there is that much of a gap between all these drivers up here at the moment, and Connor's going to go to the outside. Edwin will lead lap one. But
yeah, it's so interesting to me how some guys just really understand where the edge is with cold tires, and they seem to be able to just dance it around. And some other guys maybe not as much, and you'll see their form in 2 or so laps when tires come up to temp. But it really is a completely different car when you're trying to drive it with cold tires versus warm tires.
yeah, it was something I never was able to really get my head around in the Skippy, at least. The cold tires, I don't even know how to explain it to folks who don't do this. Maybe friends and family who are watching, but it is a completely different car. Once those tires get warmed up and worn in a little bit, you really can throw the car around. And
Yeah.
before that happens, though, it's almost like you're driving on ice. It's a very drastic change.
I think the best way I could put it is, any moment where, you're driving in the rain and you've kind of had that hydroplane moment and it just really catches you off guard. Like, whoa, like you completely lost the car for half a second and just slid. That's pretty much what every corner feels like in a Skippy for the first 2 laps. It is extremely difficult to just understand, how far you can go and how far you can take it before you lose control. And then when it comes in, if you've got some experience with these things, you can really throw it around and really drive it on the edge. But those first 2 laps, unless you're just really good at it, it's extremely challenging. But yeah, it looks like they still have that little more in the second gap there to Pete and third. Knowing Pete, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, that is probably a fair assessment. I'm trying to do some real time changes here. I'm noting that it looks like my override for Edwin for his country also did not quite make it over there, so we will try to get that straightened out there, Edwin. Apologies once again.
We got some it's pretty clean racing going on. I've seen a couple folks going off track. Generally seems like single car incidents, and people have been behaving so far, getting into the S's. I suspect that patience will run thin as we progress through the race, but as of now, everybody's on their best behavior.
Yeah, you can see what we missed there. Actually, what happened to Connor Tolman?
Oh, good question.
He went off the track. I did notice that
Maybe
Pete
that
had
was him
taken over
that
that
went.
second spot. Let's look real quick here. No, this is. Oh boy, that was a secondary. That was a secondary off track there for Connor. Let's see. Let's back it up even more. Here we go. Leading the race. Yeah, just couldn't quite make the turn. Ooh, boy, that was a.
Oof. I mean, it's that we talked about a little bit earlier in the first race. It was it definitely seemed like some of that weight, that little bend to the right, it seems like nothing, but when you're on the edge and you can feel the weight of the car, you need to wait, give it that half second for it to transition before you can start that left turn. Otherwise, you're going to understeer right on through as you just did. Also, I'd say very lucky that wasn't a much worse incident. Looked like he almost got into, I guess that must have been Pete.
Yeah, that was Pete. He was able to keep it off of him there. It looked like the car
Thankfully,
just
that
kind
wasn't
of.
worse.
Yeah, just kind of got away from him there once he had gone off the track. Speaking of Pete,
Hey, making a move. See if he can make it stick into T1. These guys, they race so close so fast. It's so much fun to watch.
yeah, it really, really is. I mean, we say it nearly every week now, but it's the amount of respect I have for their ability to do what they do and be as precise and drive as close to each other as they can. I just, it's hard enough getting these cars around the track to begin with and fast, and then you add, somebody right on your gearbox there, and trying not to drive in the mirrors and.
Yeah, it just seems impossible to convey to the layperson, even someone who does have some sim experience. There's driving fast, and then there's what these guys do, and their ability to do it lap after lap with somebody literally inches from their gearbox, as you put it, is just. I mean, it's there's a reason they refer to some of those top guys as aliens. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it should be possible, but they do it, week in and week out, and it's really impressive.
Okay, so I'm learning stuff about this overlay as we do it. There's Pete sitting in first, and we just brought up his stream as this picture instead. That's interesting. I didn't know it could do that.
Oh. Well,
Who
all right.
knew? Learning something every day. All right, well, let's see. Chris Herrera made the pass there on Edwin Viorino, and
Edwin got a little got a little happy coming out of what corner was that? It's one of the ones we talked about early on, turn 12. That it's a really tough one to get the weight there as well. But yeah, Edwin got a little loose going there, and Chris jumped all over that as expected. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Pete's so strong. Having a 1.5 second gap, I don't see him crumbling under the pressure mentally or physically, frankly. So we'll see. It'll be quite the feat, I think, for Chris or Edwin or one of these guys to get up there and really challenge Pete.
So I do apologize. I had not had the chat up, and I'm seeing now we had some folks helping us out even for the Skippy Formula 2 race. Jose let us know Andrew Pitt had pit due to the accident on lap 9.
Okay.
So there you go.
That makes more sense. Yeah, I think that's what we kind of figured out in a roundabout way, but it is, I tell you, man, sitting in this seat for the first time, it is mind-blowing to me how much information you're trying to process and then convey. It is quite amazing.
It is certainly keeps you on your toes. We've got a really nice train of cars there that's just passing by the screen, led by Chris Herrera. But it's going to be Edwin, Carl Dronke, Jason Bice, Mike Bowers, all in a line right there. And Pete appears to be putting a little bit of distance on there. 1.7 seconds. Keep your eyes on that. I want to go a little bit through the field here. We talked about Connor a little bit earlier, but he's working his way back up through the field into P10 right now, and has Jeremy Grandin just ahead of him. They've got a nice little string of cars with Jeremy, Justin Rebello, Aaron Law, and Don Parks. You can see there, and Justin Rebello's going to go in. Oh, he's missing the whole front of his car. That's probably why. That makes a lot of sense.
I want to get that fixed. That could be a problem at a place like this, yeah.
Like Jeremy's going to move over. Kind of probably feeling a little bit of pressure there to start working his way back up, a la Pete style. I forget what race that was, where I think that was Suzuka actually. Spun early and then kind of tried to work his way through the field. You can see the leaders just up there, just within sight, but so close yet so far away.
And you wonder, what kind of pit strategy could he employ to give himself an opportunity to fight for a win?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Pete used it to great effect. No reason anybody else shouldn't be able to.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Jack Moffat's around. I was just going to focus on this group of drivers here that had a real great train going. Yeah.
Tough place to be. Uh-oh. Gonna need to tow that one back, bud.
All right, well, there's Aaron Law. They're going to take over the P10 spot. But look at this battle back here with all of these cars. That's going to be Don Parks leading the way. At least for the moment. Jack is back up there. Or no, he must have fallen back to this group. Either way, that's really super impressive.
What an unbelievable place to be too wide. I mean, oh my, wow.
They're just snaking their way through the field. Let's ride on board with Gherkin there right toward the end. I guess Kyle Reed technically there at the back. First, why aren't you showing up? I'm going to say there we go. Right along board with Gherkin as he looks ahead at the field there. Don Parks is going to go into pit lane. So 12 minutes in, nearly 13 minutes in, we've got some
strategy has started. Always fascinating to see what people try to do. Just to get a slight leg up here or there. Yeah, I think you're going to see a ton of action going into turn 1 here. It's
yeah, we got
just
a lot
one of those places.
Nose to tail.
Wow,
a little bit of bumper cars going on.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those places to pass here, just given the way that this track is laid out, and you have so much opportunity to draft, and there are so few other places where you can safely execute a pass. It's going to be really interesting to see how people defend that as we approach later stages of the race.
So Jeffrey Decker there falling way back as we focus back in here on Gherkin. Now going to lead this smaller group as the herd kind of thins just a little bit.
Yeah, but I tell you, just like in real life, it's really exciting to watch one of the fast guys fall back early. It gives you an opportunity, or gives them an opportunity to really show what they have and go through the field. some of the most interesting races I've ever seen in Formula One are when Max Verstappen starts at the back. It's like that's it's a blast to watch. All right, looks like Pete's heading in the pits early.
Oh boy. Pete, Mike, and Walter all into pit road. I can't find my mouse. There we go. You can see them there. 1, 2, 3, 4 actually. Paul Bachler and Connor Tolman coming in. So Connor had worked his way back up to P9 as we saw, and he's going to come into pit road. Aaron Law is going to stay out as we ride along with Pete. He looks around on his pit stop.
Yeah, that in-car view is pretty awesome.
As he goes right through two
Yeah,
cars.
it's the virtual world,
It's
you know.
what you, yeah, exactly.
Just
Some
take advantage
allowances.
when you can.
Well, speaking of which, let's bring up our old buddy, the track map.
It's busy. I can tell you, I've got it up here. It is busy. Skippies everywhere.
Almost hard to tell what the heck's going on, but there's Pete. Let's now focus in on Edwin, the leader, and get a sense of how far up he is. And actually, while we're at it, I'll bring up gap instead of interval, and get a better sense of how far back from everybody Edwin is. Or did I say that wrong? How far back everybody is from Edwin. There we go. Tell you who's not that far back: Chris Herrera and Carl Dronke and Jason Bice.
Yeah, I've been watching these guys the last couple laps, and I don't know whether they're just biding their time, putting in their laps. Maybe they'll decide to make their moves once some of the pit stops happen. But these guys have been, really on it on each other here as they go through the corners. So it'll be something, I think, once they decide to start making their moves. I think at this point in the race, people are being a little conservative. Looks like now they're going to start their pit stops. Looks like Edwin, Chris, and company are coming on in. Bice.
That's going to leave Carl out there running some
alone.
laps. Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to... I got to imagine that hurts him a little bit, not having a draft. See how that goes down when it shakes around. I think... so what? I guess we're going to have Pete... Pete will be effectively back to P1 once Carl makes his move into the pits.
Yeah, Pete's showing 39 seconds back from the leader, Carl, right now. So I guess time will tell, but Sammy Bridges out there in the 976 car. Still 22 seconds back, so quite a bit of a gap, but he's going to stay out one more lap. Carter Stickney is in... it looks like Peter Lee is in, so it looks like most everybody. Oh my gosh, Timing Tower is kind of freaking out right now. I don't know what the heck's going on.
I only see a couple guys with on a current run of 8 laps, but most of those guys are in the pits. So the only 2 I see are Carl and Sammy that are still on the original stint.
There you go.
Where did Pete go?
Yeah. I was just going to say.
Just looking for Pete.
Because I saw Walter all of a sudden in the lead. Well, presumptively in the lead once.
Did Pete pit again? Looks like he just pit again. Interesting. So he pit again.
Don't see him.
I'm showing him P13.
Let's see if I can bring up his...
Yeah, I have him in game in
Yeah.
P13, but on my JRT. Yeah, maybe it'll update once he comes back around.
I don't know. He is out there racing though. I don't know what the heck's going on with my... Completely lost him. All right, well, so there you go. Carl and Sammy in, and here comes Walter Collada leading the rest of the pack around.
Oh, looks like Pete got a speeding penalty coming out. Oh
There you go.
man,
Yep, and we're getting the word there from our folks watching too. So
gotta love it. Oh
probably
man,
watching in on his stream.
yep. It's one of the cool things about this. So many of these guys are streaming themselves and kind of have their own little following. So it's welcome when you guys come in and give us some of the information that we can't quite
Yes.
find.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we had basically our pit road reporters here.
Yeah, that seems like a phenomenal idea. Oh, that's tough, guys. That's tough, man.
Well,
Oh, you know, we talked
so
about it a bit ago. Sometimes it's really exciting to see one of the super fast guys face some adversity. What can they do with that?
I think he's proven if there's somebody who can
Yeah.
handle it, it's Pete, as we saw at Suzuka. But the it was a little earlier in the race for him last time. But well,
Yeah.
once again, you know, I wouldn't put anything
Yeah.
past him.
25 minutes to go. I'll make that bet.
Yep. Yeah. So let's see. We've got. There we go. Pete. Finally found him. There's Pete. Okay, so 24th.
All right.
He's 40
24th,
seconds
there it
back.
is.
Is how it's
You
going to
know,
shake out. So.
that's going to be interesting. I wonder. So I guess that doesn't count as his second pit stop, does it? Because it was a penalty and he had a hold. So I don't believe that counts as his pit stop. I don't know if. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if he stayed and got more fuel and that would count it, or what.
Yeah,
Or if you're allowed to fuel when you're serving a penalty. I'm not really sure.
We had said no, but yeah,
Yeah.
all things I should know the answers to. But
You know,
I was checking with
there's-
Louis and Gherkin here, having a great time back in the battle for P12. They've got a string of cars behind them: Kyle Reed, Jeffrey Decker, Jack Moffitt, and Sammy Bridges, who just came out of pit road. So Gherkin right now our top. No, I'm sorry, Andrew Cole, our top mover, our winner. Let's see, 15 spots for Andrew, 14 for Nikolai Wood, 10 for Gherkin, and 11 for Jake Ashe. So after a disappointing mechanical in the Skippy Formula 2 race, Jake having a real strong showing here in the Skippy Formula 1. And
I've got to give it up to his pit crew.
Carl Dronke crashed. Edwin went off track. Oh my gosh, is that his nose cone sitting there? Let's check it out. This is Carl.
See Carl in pit lane. Oh no, yeah. Hey, I guess if there's a place to happen, maybe that's a good place for it.
Oh, Edwin got flipped around. I don't know who else that was. Was that Jason?
Ah, it's Jason. Yeah, it looks like he was wide, and I'm not sure why. Wow, what a huge accident there. Oh man, we got some more crazy stuff going on.
Pops the curb there, and just on the outside of the track.
Got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna end. Let's take one more view of this.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Just a little too far, and he's trying to save it. Oh, and he does. He really does.
Edwin coming in
Yep.
now.
That'll do it.
You can see Jason going off the track there. Edwin accelerating out, and they're just gonna touch wheels, and that's gonna be it for three of the faster drivers in the field tonight. So that really shakes things up. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough one.
That's going to leave team running on empty, and Chris Herrera. I know we got some fans in the house of Chris's tonight, so 0.7 seconds now over Mike Bowers.
You know, with some of those faster guys kind of falling out of the race due to incidents, we got Connor. Connor's kind of jumping right back up into it. He's sitting at 6th at the moment, only about 11 seconds off. Curious what he can do. Pete's climbed back into my view here. He's sitting in 21st, making some moves. Tons of tight racing all over the place in this track.
We'll go further back here. Kyle Reed and Sammy Bridges having it out. This is the battle for 10th, but really, you can see Jack Moffat up there in P9 trying to track him down. A lot of incidents tonight. I'm sure the stewards are going to have their hands full this week.
Indeed.
Going through all that, but I guess it has spread the field out just a little bit. Although, I mean, check out the track map with 40 cars on the on the
They're
track.
everywhere.
You're gonna find some good racing throughout the field. A little further back here, Nelson Addison in 16th spot, and he's got Andrew Cole, Scott Dawkins, Louis Babino, just Baboni, sorry, Great Bambino, Louis Baboni. And just behind them is the aforementioned Pete Mobrotten, currently sitting in P20 now. Although 20 minutes remaining in the race as of right now. We'll start seeing the where the pit strategy starts coming in to play, if at all.
It's going to be interesting to see how Pete goes through that group. I mean, they are all so close together. Certainly he has the pace to do it, but it'll be interesting to see with having so many folks right there all together how he's able to try to get through that pack.
Well, somebody I want to give a shout out to, Scott Bell. Obviously got some fans in the house of his tonight too. He's currently down 5 total spots in P22 and kind of working his way back up. Unfortunately, we do not have... I love his webcam view. He's not streaming tonight, but he's got one of the more impressive rigs for sure. It's always a lot of fun to check that out and dream. But yeah, there you go. There's Scott. He's got... I don't think that's for position. That's the 404 of Bill Groombridge, who is currently showing down a lap or two just behind him. So this is not a battle for position that you see there. All right, back up through the field. Let's check it out. Nikolai Wood, man, got a couple good. So Nikolai Wood and J.R. Hoops. I guess I should say Sir J.R. Hoops. In a battle for P13. Just behind them, Joshua Dancy, Nelson Addison, Andrew Cole. And then you're going to have Scott and Louis. You can see Scott's very pink car there. So still some pretty good battles going throughout the field for position. JR having a great night, up 12 spots. And Nikolai, I still think he's our biggest gainer, up 20 right now. So taking advantage of some consistent racing. I'd like to think that the Skippy Formula 2 race was good practice.
Yeah,
he probably learned some things.
Yeah, he and Andrew Cole both up 20. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I'm curious. Looks like we have a really close race for first and second at the moment. Those guys are pretty much just pacing. I wonder if looks like Connor's made it all the way back up to third at the moment. Curious if he can continue that forward.
So with Edwin out, I mean, Connor had the second fastest qualifying time, so we know he's fast. We know he's got that speed. Keep your eyes on that. So where are we at? Just over 11 seconds now between these two leaders, and these guys, obviously, Chris and Mike, no slouches themselves. Mike having a great run, up 7 spots, and that's tough to do at the top of this grid for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm showing, I believe everybody is back out except for maybe Jason Bice.
Yeah, I think Jason, I think Bill. I'm not really sure about Bill.
I think he may
Jason's definitely out of it. I think Bill might be in there. Which, it's pretty great to see. I mean, with such a huge field, and yeah, we've definitely seen some incidents, but you're putting a group of 40 on such an interesting technical track to have this many folks still in it after 30 minutes. It's pretty great. Yeah, we're getting it to that 30-minute mark. I'm curious. We're going to start to see these second pit stops. I would imagine any moment. Most of these guys are on a 6 or 7 lap run. It looks like at the moment.
Yeah, Walter and Scott just both went in, and we've got Jake Ashe and Dan Pagowski, but I do believe all the way through P15 at least, still on one pit stop. And I say that, and there goes Mike Bowers.
Yeah, looks like they're going to start doing that. And I'm curious. With those two guys being so close, kind of curious the thought process of why at that moment to come in and pit. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him and find out.
Exactly right. You can see there Chris Herrera's time compared to Connor's. Hasn't amounted too much. He's actually, well, I don't know. He's put on about 0.6 seconds from the last time we checked in on Connor.
Yeah,
so
just look at the consistency there. I mean, he's running 5 laps there within 0.2. I mean, it's kind of remarkable, and these times are so fast. A 2:03.5 in a Skip Barber car at Imola is remarkably quick. To do that lap after lap after lap just kind of shows the skill these guys have. You always wonder, people watching at home, oh man, I could do that. That's not too quick. I would love to see people come and jump in my rig and take a few laps.
turn left and right.
It's always fun to watch.
Hit the gas pedal, right?
Oh yeah. That's the one on the one on the right. Just smash that down. You're good. Yeah, these guys, there's so much skill there. It's just unbelievable. It's so hard to convey.
Here's Paul Bachler on Connor Tolman's backside here.
I don't recall. Did Connor get his second pit? There's no way he got 2 pit stops.
No,
yet, right?
I'm still showing him with 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, through the top 12, and then that's Mike Bowers, I believe, is the leader. Okay. And look at that, Timo Broughton, 2 pit stops.
Well,
and,
so I wonder though, did that count as his second pit stop?
That's a very good question.
So yeah, I don't know. That would be kind of incredible if it did, right? Because he would be, basically a half second off. Presumptive P2 if everything cycles through.
We're gonna see these guys come into pit. So Pete is going to pit again.
Okay.
Everybody watching his.
Makes sense.
Although that was a hell of a run, I do believe that is the rule.
It would make sense.
Does not count. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see. Yeah, that would be tough. You'd effectively be benefiting right there from that. But I guess there's the added time, but yeah.
Yeah. So Chris now has got quite a lead. Let's see, as it all cycles through. I'm trying to figure out. Looks like Mike Bowers and Carl Dronke are going to be the folks to keep an eye on. 43 seconds and 51 seconds respectively is the gap there, and once again we're looking at just shy of a minute for pit lane time. So I would anticipate Chris being able to hold on to the lead, getting off the pit road. We will see.
And you think he's got to be coming here soon? Like we said earlier, we don't really know the fuel levels and things like that, but just with everybody else having pit, I've got to imagine his time's coming. It's a long lap. I mean, it's a 2-minute lap. That's nothing to slouch at.
Yeah.
Definitely on the higher side of most of the circuits that we visit.
There you go.
And he comes in. A little bit more action going on.
So keep your eyes on Chris. I do believe Jeffrey Decker and Sammy Bridges have yet to pit again. So Imagine they'll be coming in this time around.
Yeah, it looks like them. Looks like Dronky's on a 6-lap run. I don't know if he'd already pit earlier though. I think he said he had.
Yeah, he was involved in that accident. I believe he had to
Oh,
tow
right.
even. So, Sammy Bridges is gonna stay out. So coming across the line, looks like Sammy Bridges is gonna lead a lap. Look at that, 976
Yes, sir.
Mobile. Although he still does have to pit one more time.
Maybe he's hoping for the safety car. Get that safety car and get the quick pit.
Exactly. Yeah, Chris is not big on fuel. And sure enough, though, gets out with about a little over a 9-second gap over down to Mike Bowers. No, wait.
Yeah, no,
Mike
he
Bowers is
actually
ahead.
got him.
Oh my gosh, I was reading that backwards.
Yeah, he only had about a 40-second. If it was a minute time there, he only had about 43 seconds.
Yeah, well that checks. 56 seconds in the pits. So.
Wow. Yeah.
There you go, Mike Bowers now. The presumptive leader following Sammy's next pit stop, and he has a 9-second lead over Chris. So I stand corrected. Although, let's take a look. Carl Dronke, I'm showing 2 pit stops. I don't know if we've got another Pete situation. I don't think there was a penalty involved. I think he had to tow.
Right.
But he's worked his way after getting a lot of his car destroyed there, back up to 4th, and Connor Tolman just behind him, back up to 5th after the early spin. So
I know there's this moment that Mike, Bowers has gone through after he sees himself effectively going to get P1 here when Sammy has to come in. He definitely looked at whatever his fuel gauge was and said, "I hope I got enough." That thought process definitely went through his head. So for his sake, I hope he did.
That is funny. All right.
I think we've all been there, right? I know.
Oh,
I
100%.
know. I have. Maybe more so on the oval side. I may or may not have run out of gas in the Indy 200 race that we had in the Winter Challenge recently. Maybe
Just
not.
hit the clutch. Let it glide.
Oh, I was saving.
Well, this is good. Kyle Reed and Jack Moffitt. Jack Moffitt obviously was involved early too. We remember seeing that, and top 10 finish here for him would be great. But Kyle Reed wants nothing to do with that. He's up 12 spots, having a great run himself, and I always like his paint schemes. He always brings it strong with those.
Yeah, I mean, what a drive by Connor. I mean, to face some early adversity, to be back up to what we would believe to be, P3 once pit cycles through here. I mean, that's something.
There you go. Carl is in the pit road there. So here's your leader. Well, soon to be. And Chris is gaining, but just not very quickly. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of time there.
May end up being a potential similar situation to what we saw in Formula 2, where Ian just had good pace, just not enough time to capitalize on it. But that being said, Mike Bowers, very strong racer in his own right. So good
Absolutely.
luck to Chris trying to catch up with him. I know I couldn't. So although you do see that gap come down ever so slightly. Let's look throughout the field here. We do have some other great races going on. Nelson Addison's J.R. Hoops is leading the field with him, and Pete has found his way into this group just behind them. And actually Edwin as well. So there you go. And everybody here
quite some recovery drives by these guys. Glad to see them stick in it and try to get everything they can out of it.
Not too bad. Gurka's got a great view of that. Oh my goodness. I need to figure out how to get that back up and centered there. That's right in the way.
And for some of these guys at this point of the race, they've been in a pack, for 40 minutes. They're tired, their arms are hurting, they're mentally fatigued. Maybe, it's been a long race, and at this point, it's almost like survival mode. They're just trying to bring it home without doing anything crazy. No mental lapses, anything like that.
Yeah.
I think the mental toll that it can take, just the focus of 45 plus minutes. I mean, qualifying, practice, and so forth. When you're racing effectively 100% of what you have for 45 minutes straight, I think it takes a toll mentally. Curious to see how these guys manage that over the next 5 minutes or so.
The only good news is that they don't really have any math calculations to do anymore.
Yeah.
They got what they got, and they're either gonna make it or not.
Yeah, driving's hard enough. Adding math to the equation, I mean, that just weeds people out,
A little further back here too, want to make sure that these guys get their due. Andrew Cole and actually Scott Dawkins going around the outside there. Great racing. They're looking ahead at Carl with Joshua Dancy just behind them. That's not Carl, is it? No.
It's good to see some of these guys
Absolutely.
here, Steve Dewar, I knew he was going to bring some of the big energy tonight. So really happy to see him having a nice drive, up 15 positions.
15. I saw him weave his way through that initial wreck on turn 1, and he's been pretty quiet, but obviously
Steve,
pretty consistent.
Right? He's a quiet, consistent guy. He's just always there, man. Always pushing.
Yeah, that was a great run for him, and I'm very happy to avoid the majority of those early shenanigans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, let's look. You know what? I'm not going to bring it up. I'll just tell you. So the pit time for Mike Bowers was 13.82 seconds. And for Chris, 16.38. So 2.5 seconds or so of fuel differential there.
Yeah, and Mike pit first, right?
Mike pit on lap 14 and Chris pit on lap 16. So Chris had a longer pit stop and pit later. So that is not intuitive. So to Frank's point, either Mike...
I got really nervous. Okay, I got really nervous. Chat is talking about fuel. We just found out there's a few seconds difference here. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Interesting.
That gap's coming down. We're looking at just under 3 seconds. I wonder if Mike knows. Maybe Mike knows that he's a little under and he's got to, feathered a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
You just got to lift up just a little bit, not get on the gas just like you would want to.
Yeah, what a sinking feeling. I mean, I hope for his own sake he's not experiencing that right now. But, my man, we've got 2.5 minutes to go. I guess he's probably, we really only have about 2 laps to go.
So for him, coming across the start-finish line here in just a second, it does look like there's going to be 2 more laps, one would assume. And that gap is just really starting to come down now.
Yeah, I mean, he has literally taken 7/10 out in the last half lap. And if he is experiencing any fuel issues, I mean, this is a 3-mile circuit. This is not an easy place to limp around. High speed, high revs. I mean, not exactly a car that drinks gasoline, but it also doesn't have a whole lot to start with, so... Curious to see.
Yeah.
Hope for his sake that he's not experiencing any of those feelings, because it's not fun if you're in P20, and I can't imagine what it's like if you're a P1.
And yeah, you got 2 really fast guys behind you, and inconsistent at that. So you can't really count on them making mistakes and just handing it to you. So you can see here from Chris's view.
I counted on those guys to make mistakes, and that's why I'm here broadcasting with you.
Exactly right. As well, but Yeah,
Oh,
Connor working
down to 2 seconds.
Look at that.
I'm
Kind of working
sweating.
his way up. Paul Bachler, man alive. He's up 4 spots into P4 there. Justin Rebello with a P5 right now.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
cow.
it's like that feeling you get watching Formula One when like Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes take themselves out, and it's like, oh man, this is going to be great. Renault is going to get a top 5. So it's always awesome to see a variety of names at the top of the board. Some of these guys are just having phenomenal drives. Jack Moffitt's up 12, Kyle Reed's up 12, J.R. Hoop's up 14, Nelson Addison up 14. I mean, lots of people here in the top 10 to 12 that are up significantly.
Yeah, you hate to see it for some of the faster guys who got taken out, but it's good to see some folks really taking advantage of it. Look at Jack just eat those curbs, man, for lunch, and take advantage of it, and even through some adversity themselves, be able to just kind of work their way back up. And
Absolutely.
actually, Jack under some heavy pressure there from Sammy, and Kyle looking on as well. We are past the 45-minute mark, so this is the white flag lap. So for all of these cars now, this is it. This is their opportunity. Let's focus back up here on the leader, Mike Bowers. That gap is down to 1.6 now, and they are working their way. They are 3/10 of the way through the lap.
Something big must have happened there. I mean, that 3/10 chunked off, and 4 or 5/10 chunked off in like 10 seconds there. Something must have happened. Just had a bad corner or something. Because he really closed up.
Keep your eye on this one. You can see Connor just in the distance there. He's probably going to be a little too far, but he has a pretty good handle on the podium there, barring anything crazy. They are just over halfway through the lap now. That gap down to 1.4.
Yeah, unfortunately, not going to have much of an opportunity to draft. I mean, maybe back to the start-finish, but to actually execute a pass there, I mean, he would have to have quite the run come out the final corner. Not a lot of opportunities at this point. Probably looking for Mike to make a mistake, which wouldn't take much, quite honestly.
I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah, literally 3 or 4 times in the first race, but Mike would have to make quite a mistake going into this final section.
I mean, you can see the time ticking down there, but here we go through the last complex of turns.
He's just running out of time. Yep, nice and clean. Looks like he's going to do it.
Yeah,
Looks
Chris
like
trying to
Chris
send it.
pushed hard, yeah. Hey, man.
Gotta do it. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Mike Bowers is going to take the checkered flag for his first ever Sunday Night Skippy victory. Very, very awesome to see Chris Herrera coming in P2.
What a recovery for Connor.
Seriously,
I mean,
P3.
truly, what a recovery.
You could see he was driving with conviction through the field, and it pays off for him as he takes home the final podium spot. Paul Bachler celebrating his way across the start-finish line there in 4th. And we've got some great racing going on back here, a little further back. Coming across the line, Sammy Bridges is looking to the outside. Kyle Reed's trying to draft. They're going to be 3 wide to the line. Coming across, Jack and Sammy touch wheels. Kyle's off into the grass. Jack. Oh, I think that was netcode. That must have been. Oh no, wait. Were they across the line already? Okay, I think they must have been across.
Oh man,
I lost track. I was having so much fun just.
I love the finishes, man. I love these finishes, and whether it's for P1, P5, P20, 30. I mean, these guys are going after it. You got pockets of people, and their own little worlds racing each other. It's just awesome.
Well, speaking of which, here we go. We got a slow car, but Jeremy Grandin's going to make the pass there on Carter Stickney, and that's for P21. That's Nelson Addison looking like he ran out of fuel. That's where the slow car is. Holy cow. Further back here, this is Peter Nodwell and Jeff Torbeck. This is going to be a battle for P27. As they're coming down into the last couple turns.
Yeah, what a great finish. Definitely got some folks. Looks like Peter Lee ran out of gas here. Lost a few there towards the end of the race. What a phenomenal race. So much stuff going on.
And Walter, trying to make the pass, just got a little too close, but he's going to spin back around on Max DiGiacomo. And we'll bring it home in P29. And there's Jake Ashe. I think he had a pretty close battle there. Bring home P31. I think that's about it. As Peter Lee said,
What a race.
Yeah, he's
They're
slow.
still flying across the finish line.
Yeah, it does look like Peter. Oh, what do we got going on here?
Yeah, Peter Lee definitely ran out of gas at some point there.
And everybody's going to park it. All right. That should do it. Let's look at the results, which we didn't do for the first race.
How do you do this every week, Chris?
I don't know.
I'm beside myself at the moment.
Let's see. I can't even get the results to come up. Did it not go officially yet? And we're still finishing. Keep slow racing. I don't know.
Yeah, still unofficial for some reason. I think Peter with the gas.
Peter? Yeah, look at that.
He's very slowly coasting at a solid 32 miles per hour.
Let's get the dash on, yeah.
Yeah, got to get the stats. I mean, somebody just needs to go out there and push this man across the finish line.
I know, he's got some pretty good momentum, but there's a lot of space between
here. There's a long ways to go. Yeah, he just dropped 10 miles an hour making that corner. Go, Peter. Go, Peter.
Just rock it.
Right.
You got this.
Got to get Sebastian Vettel out there and push it.
All right.
And he parked it.
Well, that will do it, but that will also let us bring up the results. Maybe. Still no.
Yeah, it's still unofficial at the moment.
Well, let's start looking here as we wait for that. I guess we can start doing the interviews at any rate. Let's bring in I'll start with P6 here. And I gotta remember to unmute people. I don't know how we change that, but Jeffrey Decker is our 6th place finisher tonight, up 6 spots total on the evening. And what'd you think of the race, man? It was a lot of fun to watch, but I don't know how fun it was to participate.
Yeah, it was a saga. I through Variante Alta, like the last chicane, I ended up trying to have to avoid people and ended up the wrong way at one point. Actually, my wheelbase decided to restart mid-race, and there was something else. I had to avoid people in turn 1 and got like a big slowdown cutting the chicane there. So it was a saga, but good fun. Good fun catching back up. It seemed like a lot of people had interesting races.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was definitely the race of excitement tonight, that's for sure. But nice drive, my man. Nice drive.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I at one point was like P19, so I'll take a P6. I was ahead of Connor at one point, so could have been better, but definitely could have been worse based on some of the things that happened along the way.
Yeah, was this one of the tracks that you were looking forward to? I kind of got the sense, and we said this earlier on the broadcast, but a lot of fun to drive, but not as fun. I don't know if the right word is fun, but to race, just because of the way it's laid out. But I don't know, like there seemed to be a split among the drivers of if this is a fun track to race or not.
I think it is the problem with the being able to race it fun is that it's super slow to race it fun. So like you can go side by side a bunch of places, but it's really just like not beneficial at all to do it. So it ends up kind of being a train until the main straight, and then hopefully you sort yourself out into turn. I guess it's turn 2, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that most of the action was happening going into T1, T2, right there. But yeah, I mean, for as chaotic as it could have been, it seemed like it was a really clean race and a really great start. So definitely exciting for us to watch. No doubt about it. I can't imagine what it was like to be in some of those tight battles, but from our perspective, it was fun and great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and all the things that happened, I mean, it seemed like simple mistakes. So no one seemed to do anything malicious or anything like that, which is, I mean, why we all love this league. And I was lacking pace, I think, this week, so I'll take a P6.
Yeah, that's no easy feat, and there's something to be said for just the consistency and taking just because somebody else has a unfortunate race experience, it doesn't mean you can't take advantage of that and do what you can. But you've always got really good pace, and we're just looking through the highlights here, and my goodness, you've had to avoid quite a bit. So it's got to feel really uh, good. I don't know, satisfying that you were able to walk away with a P6 after all that.
With 40 cars
Yeah,
and you find yourself in the sand, you got to feel pretty good about a P6.
yeah. If you're facing the wrong way in the sand, like locked up in the middle of a straight, I think it was good fun. Honestly, I can't complain. Like I said, it could have been better, but it could have been way worse. And always fun driving in this league and these races. So I also want to say just big congrats to Bowers. He drove what seems like a heck of a race. From what I could see from the times, as I was monitoring. But I think that puts him very, very close, if not in the lead of the championship, which is awesome.
Yeah, actually, we didn't even pull those up. I could probably do that. Um, let's see. Yeah, so he was 9 points behind Pete. So that's actually very likely. And you were only 1 point behind, so you actually probably did pretty well given Pete's speeding penalty earlier. So
Yeah. I think it definitely tightens up that top three. So should be an exciting battle from here on
very
out.
cool. Yeah. Holy cow, we weren't even tracking on that. So I need to do a better job. We got a little rushed going into the race, but this is really good to see as we look at what the potential consequences of this are. We'll get that loaded up into the system as soon as possible, and very curious to going into the next race. Actually, where are we next year or next week?
Oh, I was older. I think it's older.
It's older. That's right. It's a different layout, but yeah. So that'll be a. I do think that with this new point structure and with the way that the season is going, you're going to be in a really nice spot, setting up and going into the second half of the season. So, anyway, we'll let you go. Any last final thoughts?
No, just like I said, congrats to the podium. I think Connor did a heck of a job getting back up there because I saw him off basically into the wall in the last corner early on. So he did well. Congrats to Mike, the whole podium. Yeah, just super fun racing, and thanks always to you guys as well.
Of course, man. Well, congratulations once again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Cool. Catch you guys later.
See ya. Different Decker P6 overall tonight. Really good run for him, and overcame a lot himself. Always good to see. Somebody else who did overcome a lot is Jack Moffitt, who we are bringing into the booth now. And Jack had some pretty good racing throughout, and I was looking. You were involved in an early incident. Is that correct? Oh, yeah.
It was really minor. Someone was avoiding a car or something, and I tried to slow up and just got into the back of him. But neither of us had any damage or anything.
Okay. Well, either way, it's what'd you think of Imola?
Oh, this track and I don't get along too much. That turn 10 is just the killer for me. I always feel like I'm about to lose it. I didn't get a chance to do like a warm up race in the pubs right before, which I normally do. So I wasn't expecting too much. I qualified bad, so I started P20. I was P14, I think, after the first lap. So there was quite a bit of attrition. And then I got in a pack with Sammy Bridges and Kyle, and we were just battling it out for almost the whole race. I tried to slightly early pit stop to get, try to do the undercut. That didn't work. I came out right right where I was, right behind him. I tried to do a later pit stop. That didn't work either. I came out right behind him again. So and then last couple of corners was intense.
Yeah, I mean, some of the racing you guys had in the pack, 2x2 through some of the most, just tight areas on the track was just mind blowing. Managing to keep that stuff clean, so it was a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, you maybe started deep, but you finished pretty good, man. jumping up 11 spots was nothing to scoff at, given how much is going on in this race. So congratulations on a good drive.
I'm always happy for a P10, and even better, I can share top 10 finishes with Kyle and Sammy both. Yeah, that was a fun final lap. I had sort of calculated out to be in the back on that final lap so I could pass on that final straight. And we were all 3 wide on that straight that lap and going into that turn. So I backed off, and I had such a better exit than either of them. Then I ended up getting back ahead. And then I missed my braking point on that second to last turn. I think Sammy and Kyle would have gotten me on the straight anyway, but yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, it's really cool. You got basically the same guys throughout the whole race, and you guys put on a really great show, and all 3 of you ended up double-digit positions overall, and in the top 10, like you said. That's really cool to see, and I'm sure that's going to be one you guys won't soon forget.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've ever had a 3-car photo finish like that before in SNS.
I mean, I was screaming. I didn't know where the finish line was, apparently.
Yeah, that was pure excitement going on for Chris. It was phenomenal to listen to.
That was a lot of fun.
Watch it from a different perspective. I didn't even see Kyle, so I was so focused on Sammy, and it looked like I was going to beat him. I think I must have missed it by just a tiny bit, and I didn't realize Kyle had gone 3 wide on the outside and passed us both. So when I saw the results that I was 9th, I was like, "What happened?"
that felt like the entire race. I mean, we were losing people off the scoring pylon. All sorts of crazy stuff was going on. So I think that's a normal feeling for this race for most folks.
Yeah, I managed to go the whole time without getting a slowdown penalty, so I think I succeeded.
Yeah, I'd say so. Awesome finish, great race.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to the broadcast.
Sounds good, man. We'll see you next week. All right, man. We've got a full crew here, ready to go, ready to be interviewed as we watch the finish there between Jack, Sammy, and
finish.
Kyle. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I was right to yell, I think.
100%. Are you kidding? That was. I mean, we don't have we need a statistician, but it would be amazing to know. Has there ever been a closer finish between 2 cars, much less 3 cars, in a Sunday Night Skippy event? Prior to that, I'm gonna venture just to say no.
I was gonna
say
looked
like a Daytona 500 finish, not a Skip Barber finish.
Very, very exciting stuff. Somebody we didn't get to talk to earlier, just because we keep running out of time. But Andrew Cole, putting great evening of racing. I would say I would walk away pretty happy with how everything went. But tell us about your evening.
Yeah, overall, when I look back on it, it's like, yeah, it was pretty good. There were definitely moments in both races where I was like, I can't believe I just did that. This is done. I am done. In first race, the only reason I came into the broadcast booth is I just watched some of the replay and I heard you 2 guys going, I wonder how he did that. And I don't honestly know.
Well, that's good because
no, the real answer is yeah. When that first incident with Nikolai, I was like, I'm just gonna take on some fuel. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then drove really, for the first time in my life, drove really angry. And then with 2 laps to go, I was like, oh, I could actually win this thing.
Yeah, what an unbelievable night for you. I mean, to go into the first race and just knock it out. I mean, that's some great strategy play there. And then, in the second race, you start deep. I know we had some weird stuff going on with the session starting, so I don't know if you even got much of an opportunity to even qualify in the second race.
I got through my first warm-up lap of qualifying, and I was about to Tamburello with my real lap, and the flag flew. That was all my fault. I had to take a break just like you guys did.
Yeah, I mean, and then you come up, 18 spots up, top 20. I mean, that's a heck of a finish, man.
I think it's the best finish I ever had. I'm bummed I could have been higher until I spun myself out with maybe a lap or 2 left. But hey, other than that, with this track, I don't know about y'all, but I hate this back. And
It's interesting to hear. I think everybody's kind of had a different take on it, which is, I think, really awesome to see such a variety of opinion from so many drivers. But yeah, it made for some great racing for us, though.
I bet it did, and I will say I still dislike it, but there was an aha moment about halfway through the F2 race where it's like I think I figured out Aqua Minerale. I think I've got it down finally.
Doesn't that always happen? You
Exactly.
get to like 90% of the race done. You're like, all right, guys, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's roll
Exactly.
back. We'll try it again.
Well, that's actually why I came into the main race, because I figured, well, I'm tired, but I'm just going to try and see what happens. I'm like, I'm switched on. I'm ready to go, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it worked out. The only other question I have for you is, it looked like Ian had a little bit of pace there at the end, and I wasn't sure if that was fuel saving or he was just faster and slowly closing that gap. Although I don't know that he ever really. There wasn't enough time left, obviously, but were you looking at that, or were you focused forward?
Yeah, so I have never tried to fuel save in my life. I've never tried to have a fuel strategy. And then he had about 4.5 seconds on him with a few laps to go. I'm like, I'll try this. And then that, as I told Ian after the race over voice comms, when that white flag flew and I hit F4, and I was like, I've got 1.5 laps of fuel left. I think I actually have this.
Wow.
Nice. Well, great race. I mean, that first race was so much fun to watch. I mean, it seemed like being in P1 was a curse.
It sounds like it.
It's an experience thing. I think so many folks, they're running in P1 for maybe not the first time, but one a few times, and it's just different experience, when you have people tracking you down, and it's tough, and you experienced that obviously tonight. It's nerve-wracking to be looking down at that relative and see you in P1 and somebody tracking you down and trying to keep it in front, but you did a phenomenal job.
Oh, I'm just going to lie and dispel any myths. I totally had it in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
And I was super confident the entire time.
Cool as a cucumber.
Hey, guys. I've got to say something here, because I've been listening to Andrew, and I hate it, because I was like, he's going to pit, and I'm going to win this race. And then he didn't freaking pit. And I was weeping into my visor.
I was about halfway through the last lap, and I'm like, I'm going to take another one from Ian on the last lap, aren't I?
That is awesome.
I genuinely felt bad for you. I really did. But not that bad.
All right.
It lasted a minute.
Exactly.
Good gracious.
But the thing is, Ian has put in such a consistent set of races, and that's the key to this, because every race he's been at the front, and the rest of us are just trying to pick up scraps when we can.
There you go. I mean, it's the Skippy Formula 2 series is forming its own. You can see the battle lines forming there as well, even though we're only a couple races into it. So very excited to see how the championship points race shakes out on that. But hey, man, we'll let you go. But congratulations once again. A really just a overall well-rounded night of racing for you. And any final hellos or goodbyes?
No, just a shout out to everybody in this community, and especially to you, Chris, for putting this all together. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Right. That was Andrew Cole. Skippy Formula 2 race winner and P19 finisher for Skippy Formula 1. So that was a really nice. I'm sure he's gonna sleep well tonight. Let's start. We gotta keep knocking through here. We'll go to I gotta unmute him here. Connor Tolman, who had an early, got involved early with a spin, I believe it was, but then just drove like a man possessed and ended up on the podium. Connor, talk us through how that went for you.
Oh man, well it was a roller coaster of emotions, to say the least. I've had quite the streak of unforced errors, and that was another one of those unforced errors. Edwin was pretty far back. He was nowhere near at fault for that incident. I got a little bit scared. I got nervous, whatever it was, and missed my braking marker by about 3 inches or so, and spun it. And then about half a lap later, I was going to pass someone, I forget who, but my right front and their left rear touched, and I got sent off into the grass. And I knew I had pace, so I wasn't giving up, so I just drove best I could. And yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, well, you did. I mean, you started on the front row at any rate, so we knew you had a fast car tonight, and it was almost Pete-esque. You know, we talk about him at Suzuka. Well, this may be your moment there, so we can say we can start using your name as the guy who drives through the field and finishes on the podium after some early trouble. But yeah, that was really awesome to see. We just kept seeing you climb and climb through the timing tower, and it gets a little confusing when you got two pit stops thrown in there and things are shaking around. But you know, see, we noticed your name there right at the top toward the end, and just a really well run race. So congratulations.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm happy with where I finished. But yeah, it was the whole race was a roller coaster of emotions for everyone. I mean, I know a lot of the really fast guys ended up wrecked or being wrecked or whatever it was. And you know, it's just sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky. And I think my early self spin actually saved me from being in one of those wrecks. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's what I like to think. It makes it easier for me to sleep at night.
Well, you had quite the recovery drive, so phenomenal job. Really, it was fun to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was gonna say whatever it was doesn't really matter. You maintained the consistency after that and got the job done, and the results kind of speak for themselves. So we'll let you go. But any final shout outs?
Just family, friends, as always. It's I always appreciate the support and all the, just all the support. It means a lot because I take this pretty seriously. Put a lot of time and effort into it, and even though it's just a video game, it's still a hobby. It's still something you can devote a lot of time and effort into and care a lot about. And but thank you guys for having me in, and I'll see you guys next week as Older.
Looking forward to it, man. Good luck.
Thank you. See you later.
Yeah, that's Connor Tolman. Where did he go? He finishes on the podium in P3, and just a really incredible season. Had a strong end of season 4, and really brought that momentum into season 5. Doing really well, and I think good things are ahead for him. Let's see. I didn't move Ian, did I? He's gone. Oh, whatever. We'll bring in Chris Herrera now. Finished in P2. Was tracking Mike Bowers down and just ran out of time, ran out of room to be able to complete it. But so I think the question on everybody's mind is the pit strategy, the pit stop.
We don't need to look too much at my second pit stop.
Okay.
Reverse, and then I forgot I was not in. I lost a few seconds there.
We were trying to figure out what happened there. I mean, it seemed like you were in pretty good control there for a while, and then when you guys swapped with the pit stops, we just weren't exactly sure what happened. But
yeah, Mike sort of came out of nowhere. I knew I was 12 seconds ahead of the guys behind me because there was a little bit of a mess up going into my final pit stop. But I guess Mike just calculated his fuel perfectly. Plus, I messed mine up a little bit because I'm still getting used to my new wheels and buttons and everything, so I didn't want to mess anything up. So I was very deliberate with my button presses. But you got some folks to interview, and you've been in here for a while, so I'll just be real quick here and say I'm real happy with the P2. It's a really tricky course, and I'm still getting used to all my gear. But congrats to Mike. Super happy that he got his first win, and he drove really well today. So I'm looking forward to watching the broadcast. And shout out to Run on Empty.
Absolutely. Well, hey, well done, and we say it a lot, but ending up on the podium in a Sunday night Skippy race is no small feat, and you seem to be up there time after time. So it's just really fun to watch you drive.
Time after time.
That was nice. I like that. Yeah. So congratulations, and hopefully the luck continues in I don't know if it's luck, but the good fortune continues there at Zolder.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to Zolder. That's my track. See what happens.
Uh-oh. Everybody is on notice.
I feel like it just got laid down right there.
Very good, man. Well, we'll see you and say hello to Running on Empty, and I'm sure if you actually see them, say hi for me.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
I'll talk
we'll
to you
see
later.
Congrats.
Bye.
Chris Herrera with the P2 overall tonight. Another strong run, up 3 spots total. Let's see. Mike Bowers, race winner and fuel strategy expert. I mean, first of all, just a well-executed, well-run race tonight, Mike. And if I'm not mistaken, this is your first Sunday Night Skippy win, correct?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Man,
Yes,
yes, loud
sir.
and clear.
Yep, first one. And yeah, I decided to run a fuel strategy tonight. And it was a great affirmation when I saw Pete pitting right in front of me. I was like, okay, this will work. Because I picked exactly the lap I was going to pit and how much fuel I was going to put in when I pitted. And for once in my life, I actually pulled something off the way I planned it. So that worked. That worked. And then the second stop, I was like, I'm not overfeeling this stinking thing. I'm gonna pick the number when it says to go and go. And I did, and I about had a heart attack when I saw myself 4 seconds out. So after I got done having a stroke, I kind of settled in, and it looked like it was gonna be a little close. So I just decided to run super smooth laps, watch the gap, and if Chris got close, I'd go hard. And I had to go hard there for a lap. So
Yeah, you could kind of tell that we were questioning whether the fuel was enough, just based on pit stop times, and then we saw that gap shrinking, so we kind of started figuring maybe there was some fuel strategy going on. But you could tell, I think he got it down to about a 2 second gap, but when he got it to 2 seconds, it seemed to stay there. And so you could kind of tell that at that point you kind of knew that, and so it's nice to hear, I guess now that was your thought process and you executed it absolutely perfectly. So congratulations on a phenomenal win.
well, thank you. It shocked me actually. You're kind of waiting for the shoe to drop sometimes, after you've done so many of these races, and Pete'll laugh a little bit because I didn't actually screw something up here, but and it was actually good to go out and save fuel, but with that kind of lead, I was like, it makes no sense to run hard. And as much as I don't like Alan Prost, how he used to race, that was one of the things is race as hard as you need to race to bring the car home, first or the position it's supposed to finish. So I just watched the gap and I thought, I'll give away a little bit every lap, make sure I got enough fuel because I do not want to run out of fuel leading, especially in front of Chris, because I'd never hear the end of it. I'd have to join his team, and
Accurate.
and I'm not as good looking as him, so it's not going to work. So.
Well, you nailed it, man. You really nailed it. So happy to see it come through for you, for sure.
Yeah, it was fun. I appreciate it, and I didn't know if I'd ever get one of these because they're hard. I mean, these guys are all so good.
You're right about that. And now it's time to clean the champagne and everything from off your walls and get ready for next week.
Yeah, and it's Chicane City, right? We're at Zolder.
That's
it
right.
Doesn't have a buttload of chicanes.
That's right.
Everybody
All
knows
the
how much I
chicanes.
like chicanes.
You have made that
so
very
do you
clear.
have to jump these? I don't remember. I was sticking the landing really well all night tonight, so that's what pulled it off. I felt like a gymnast.
Well, that's good.
However you get through it, right?
Yeah. So
Well,
I got to dedicate the win to a kid. I was telling Chris and these guys this. So I get out to this big old huge lead in my very first shifter cart race. I'm racing and I'm running second, and finally I pass the kid for first place, and I get out like a 4-second lead. And I'm a spastic, so my mind was wandering all over the place. So after 2 laps after the pit stop with that big old lead, my mind starts wandering, and the first thing that popped into my head was that race, and it's like, okay, you're not going to do that. So Mike Petrie is the dedication.
That's awesome, man. No, that's really cool. I like the tie-in there to the past race, and to your point, getting a first Sunday Night Skippy victory has got to be just extra special. I mean, everybody remembers their first iRacing win as well, and obviously if you do any real life racing and stuff like that. But we were talking earlier about community this is and the competition that you have to face week in and week out, and to walk away on the top has got to be a huge relief, and maybe get some monkey off your back to go out and keep that momentum going into Zolder. And now that you got the win, I'm a Sunday Night Skippy winner, and no more. We've checked that box, and moving forward, that there's no more pressure to really do that again. So hopefully the chicanes at Zolder treat you well. I'm looking forward to seeing if you can do a little bit of a repeat. But any last final shout outs?
No, I guess just this league in general, and it's kind of weird. You're racing online, but it still feels real. I've raced in real life with a bunch of different stuff, and it is the same thing. It really is. And the community of people, one of the things that I spent way more money than I should have because I didn't want to leave my friends and buddies when I, had to stop racing because of financial stuff. And it's the same here. You get to be friends with these guys, and we hear some of the stories about their personal lives and stuff like that. And you actually tend to care for them, even though you've never met, you never shook hands. Can't do that anyway now, but it is an interesting community. And every once in a while, it dawns on me I'm racing fake cars with people I don't know, and I like it.
Right. Yep. That's a great way of putting it. Just that moment of the 100-foot view, the self-awareness of like, oh, this is weird, but in a good way.
Yeah, no, it's good. And so congratulations to the league. I mean, it's very, very cool, and I enjoy it a lot. And the coaching thing's starting to come along, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that'll just raise the bar even higher than what it has been already. And we were talking about this earlier, but probably to your guys' detriment, to be honest. Get those mid-pack, backpack guys a little faster, and then all the wins are going to come that much harder. But I think that's good overall for the league, obviously.
It is, and the coaching, because I coached a little bit in karting and stuff like that, and teach some different things here and there. And I'll tell you what happens is the teachers will get more out of it than the students. So I think
Right.
what you're going to find is you're going to see the teachers are all of a sudden, and the coaches, they're going to get that much better. They're going to do like I did tonight and not make a stupid mistake like they've done 20 times in the past, because they'll get better, because who wants to be the coach making the mistakes you're teaching the student? So you focus better, you concentrate better, and you go back to the basics, and it'll make you better.
That's true. And revisiting some of that stuff and being able to explain it, kind of just solidifies that in your head instead of taking it for granted potentially when you're not doing that. So, yeah, that's a really good point.
So it's fun, but thank you guys very much for staying up all night.
Yeah, our pleasure. Well, at any rate, man, well, congratulations once again. Really awesome first Sunday Night Skippy victory, and it was a lot of fun to watch. You pull that out, and you beat some really quick competition. So enjoy it and get ready for next week.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Congratulations.
All right. Bye.
And last but certainly not least, we have Jonathan Dockery, and I was just looking that up. It was either up 7 or 8 spots. I don't know. My overlay is being kind of funky, but still ended up there. Seemed like a pretty good race overall based on where you started versus where you finished. So, how's Imola for you?
Where I started. It was great. I mean, the week's been awesome. I really was hoping for a much better race, but I spotted for Barry Stockdale in the SF2. Barry started 11th. There were some wrecks, some spins. He passed a few cars and he ended up first. He ran first for 6 or 7 laps, and then he self-spun. He got a little excited. And then he had a problem in the pit, working on the pitting, but I'm really proud of the SF2 guys. They run great. It's a lot of fun to be able to help out in. Like, spot it for him. But all the SF2 guys, anybody that was in that room when we came into the SNS room, some of us got 2 laps of qualifying. Some didn't get any at all. There was a time delay or something happened. Tonight, qualified 27th, I think. There was a wreck in turn 1. I got collected in that, and I had to pit. So fought my way back up. At one point, I was 17th, I think. through the pit cycle. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems to be a tale of two races. Either people unfortunately getting collected in accidents and kind of having a bad night, but then kind of like yours, where you get collected and then start working your way back through the field, and it of course probably frustrating initially, but at the end of the night, like, you ended up much better than where you started, and did
Some
some really
people
good
have
racing.
that turn one, lap one, gotta win at all cost attitude. Yeah, I see the same thing in pub races, and we haven't solved that for SNS yet, but it happens. For the most part, we do pretty good, but it seems like the tail of the field gets a little jumbled up a lot. Like
Yeah,
all week
I mean,
long, I had ran with, I ran with Paul Bachler in races. I ran with Mike Bowers. And me and Walter had probably a 45-minute practice session earlier today where we ran together, and I was able to keep up. In the two practice races this week, I was able to run behind and keep up with Imola Broughton. Can't beat those guys yet. Like, if you put me in a second split race this week, I was top 3 or winning all week. In the top split, I'm usually 8th to 11th, somewhere in there. So it's just, I got to learn to bridge that gap, and I don't know how to get from where I'm at to where they are. So I'm hoping the pro-am, when that gets sorted out, fixes that. But overall, tonight was fun. A few hiccups, but great. And
Awesome.
I loved your pre-race drivers meeting. That was great.
Yeah, that was also a little bit thrown together by me. Walter had given me plenty of warning, and we were actually supposed to do it last week too. But yeah, that was we'll button that up a little bit. But it was a lot of fun.
But I'm looking forward to going back and watching the replay because I'm pretty sure there was a lot for you to cover tonight. I've seen pieces and parts like every 3 or 4 laps. I would see a nose cone here or a wing there. So
Yeah, I'm sure we missed some stuff for sure. There was a lot happening, especially in the beginning of the race, but some really good racing too. I think a lot of folks we're gonna be very happy looking back and getting to see just how cool it looked from our perspective, battling in packs of 2, 3, 4, and on upwards. Sorry.
that's usually how I spend my lunch on Mondays at work, but I'm off tomorrow, so I'll probably watch it midday tomorrow. But
There you go.
appreciate all you all do. Thanks to the admins and you all for broadcasting. And on next week.
Sounds good, man. Well, congratulations again on a nice little finish, and good luck next week at Zolder.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and yeah, so for anybody watching, these broadcasts pair very well with coffee, or your adult beverage of choice in the evening, depending on what you're into. So, Ian, we haven't had a chance to talk. Had a really interesting first race there. That was a hell of a roller coaster ride that we all went on with you, and just quite couldn't close the gap there at the end. But what was that like for you?
It was definitely an interesting race. I tell you, my first couple of laps, I was just all over the place. I struggled to learn this track and to be quick at it. And I'm still fighting. I think probably fighting myself more than anything else. To be honest, I mean, everybody says, "Oh yeah, I like this track" or "I hate this track." I mean, it's a track, and you have to take it for what it is. But yeah, I definitely found it a very challenging track. It looks really easy. If you just sort of look at the layout, you've got one sort of tight chicane, and then you've got everything else is pretty much flowing. But when you're actually running it, it's a lot harder than you think. And that dive down into Aqua Minerale and the climb back out is really quite a long way. I mean, I pulled up a 3D track map and had a look at it, and it's quite incredible how far you're going down and coming back up again. And of course, the Skippy loves it when you're going down at speed, and then you try and do anything like brake or turn because it just oversteers like mad. But yeah, it was fun. I spent quite a bit of time towards the second stint, trying to figure out when I should do my fuel stop. Which, to be honest with you, in most races, I just kind of it goes, okay, if you don't stop on this lap, you're going to run out of gas. So I go and stop, and I fill it to where they say fill it, and off I go again. Whereas this race, I've actually started to really try and think about the whole fueling issue and be a bit more strategic about it. And so I was kind of thinking, and that's why I was so weepy when Andrew managed to do an extra lap and beat me. I was convinced he had to go into the pits and refuel, and I was like, yeah, I've got him. It would be my first Skippy win with the league, and of course he didn't, which is I'm gonna go and cry in my beer now.
Well, you've been showing pace, man.
Yeah, you really had quite the pace going there. We were watching your laps. You know, like you said, the first few were a little sporadic, but once you got settled in, you know, you really had some consistent laps, and you were dropping almost half a second a lap. It felt like in time, which was great to see. And I think the thing that impressed me the most, you were having those great laps. You went into the pits and you came out and you kept improving on those laps immediately. And I know that it's really easy sometimes to kind of have the mental side of it. You just kind of take a break for a second when you come in the pits. You kind of like breathe, and that takes you off your game. But you seem to kind of jump right back into it immediately, which is super impressive. So yeah, it felt like you had it in the bag, and my guess is based on what we saw tonight, that won't be the last time you have a good opportunity for a win. So congratulations for that.
Well, thanks very much. I do appreciate it. It's been a while. It's been a while, as you know.
Hey, good things come to he who waits, right?
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was a great race, and I mean, you know, props to everybody in there. I think as a group, SF1, SF2, the league as a whole, we're going from strength to strength. We just need to keep our momentum going, you know. And I mean, all of this is really thanks to Jason and his fantastic leadership that he's been giving us so far. Can't wait to see him back in the saddle when he's ready. But you know, I think that if we can keep this moving forward, keep the momentum, I'd like to see some new stuff, and I'm going to talk to Chris and Walter about that over the next week or so, of some ideas that we've sort of bounced around in the past. But we'll see where we go with that. So that's just a little teaser of things that may be to come. So yeah, just to think about that.
Always something on the horizon with Sunday Night Skippy.
Yeah, I think you've got to keep kind of innovating, and you've got to keep kind of thinking of ways to make the league better for everybody. And I think we are. I mean, I think like the introduction of SF2, which really was forced upon us. I mean, it wasn't something that we sort of sat down and said, okay, this is what we're going to do.
We were actually very opposed to it.
Yeah, but it was that race at Alton Park that caused it, right?
Yeah, where they had the limited number of pit stops, right?
Yeah. We had to split. We didn't have a choice. And because we did it, we suddenly realized that, hey, you know, something that we thought was going to be terrible and wouldn't work, people seem to enjoy. And I mean, it's now really kind of started to take a little bit of a life of its own, I think. And if we can just, as I say, keep this going, it'll be fantastic. But again, you know, I think it's a whole package, right? It's not just the admin and the league, but it's the broadcasting as well, and it's all of the add-ons. It's having you know, like you, Chris, join the broadcast booth and spend your afternoon or evening, you know, not driving a car, but talking about other folks driving their cars. It was it Pete last week? Not Pete, it was Paul last week, right?
Yeah.
It was Paul last week. And I'm sure, you know, we'll have some other folks to do this. And I think that also really adds to the whole thing, you know. I'd love to see if we could find a way to get some of our viewers more involved. You know, some of the get our own Tifosies going, you know, with the different teams or the different cars or the different drivers. Not just have the running on empty crew waiting for him to run out of gas.
Although that is fun.
Well, yeah, you know, like hopefully they're gonna be like not drinking on it, you know, because he doesn't do it all the time. But you know, maybe they could do some sort of pool, because otherwise they'd be really thirsty, wouldn't they? You know, you get to the end of the night and be like, oh, I haven't had a beer all night. This is ridiculous.
Oh man.
Yeah, but no, a lot of fun. I enjoyed the race. My second race was a bit of a dog's dinner, to be honest. I had a drive-through penalty to serve, and I slowed down and ran it into the wall right at the beginning of the pits.
Oh no!
And then stupidly stopped to get the repair, and then had to go and do a drive-through the next lap. And I was kicking myself. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
How
Sometimes
dumb can you
it's.
get?
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did a league race this morning, and something similar. I didn't have a penalty to serve, but it was at Dover, which is a very difficult pit entry, and I was doing really well, and I ended up spinning. And so I end up backwards in pit entry, and I look up, and I also got a speeding penalty on top of it. So now I got to
Oh,
get myself
no.
turned around and sit there for 40 seconds while everybody else is just putting me 1, 2, 3 laps down. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, but no, it's fun, and I guess I hope you guys enjoyed all of the racing this evening. It sounded like there's a lot of good stuff to watch.
Yeah,
That was fantastic.
It just like most weeks, it's overwhelming. Trying to focus or give everybody the due attention. I always feel like you go back and look, and there's a great pass that we missed, or a great battle that it's impossible with 40 cars on there.
Oh, yeah.
So but this is actually a good plug on our CavOK network /SNS until we get a new website. But on that webpage, cavoknetwork.com/SNS, go and submit your highlight, whatever you want to call them. If you have something cool that happened that you want potentially immortalized in a hype video or highlight video at the end of the year, go and submit it. I do not think that we've really gotten any. I've got one person who direct messaged me, and that's it so far. So our highlight reel is one clip at the moment. So go on to that website, submit your highlights. If especially if it was something that we didn't get on the broadcast and missed, there's a little form you can fill out. Give me driver name, lap, all that stuff, so I can find it, and we'll capture it for you. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Other than that,
That'd be great.
Final thoughts from Ian.
None, mate. I mean, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And my shoulders hurt.
I feel ya.
So I'm just going to go to bed and get up tomorrow morning and go to work. So, but thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate the work you guys put in. Miss being in the broadcast booth. So I think I'm going to have to try and choose one of these races where I can come and join you, Chris, for the
Absolutely.
whole race.
Yeah, it does feel like things have happened really quickly, and realizing that our normal routine of the track tour and all that is just kind of thrown out. So we'll have to figure something else out. The flow isn't great right now. Hopefully,
I think we need to get the track tour. Well, I don't know. Do the people watching want the track tour back? Maybe they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Who knows? So
I doubt it,
answers on a postcard, please. Yeah. Let us know. Do you want it back? We'll see what we can do if you do.
Well, oh yeah, and Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's, just once again, actually, there was a question in the Discord, just so everybody else knows, though. Chris, obviously, if you missed our conversation in the beginning of the Skippy Formula 2 race, one of the founders of the league put the initial feeler out there on the forums to even start the thing in the first place. So that is really cool to have him back. Hasn't raced with us in a while, but always obviously still part of the community and checks in. And thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to give your perspective and help call the race and all that. I know it's just time out of your day, and we really appreciate it. You were talking earlier about the community, and that this is a great example of that. Just people dedicating time to do something fun for everybody else. And
for sure. Yeah, no, I had a great time doing it. So thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. It's fun to see how far it's come and what you guys are doing these days. Yeah, and I had a great time watching the races, trying to provide something interesting to say, and hopefully it was good on y'all side as well. But the racing was super fun. It was fun to hang out for a couple hours, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely, man. You are always welcome back anytime. I never did get the results to pop up, but your race winner, Mike Bowers, Chris Herrera, and Connor Tolman will be your podium for this evening. Congrats to those guys. Paul Bachler, Aaron Law will round out your top 5. And then Jeffrey Decker, Sammy Bridges, Jack Moffitt, Kyle Reed, and Pete Mobron working his way back up there to finish 10th overall, I do believe. At least that's what I'm showing. So just wanted to say goodbye. We're going to keep the stream up like we always do for anybody who likes to watch on YouTube. I know there's usually a delay once I stop the stream because it's got a process. So we'll just leave it up for a little bit so you can pull it up. We will be back at the same time, 8:10 p.m. Eastern next Sunday at Zolder. I do want to remind, if anybody's even still listening, I think I put it in the broadcast channel under the league, the broadcast related channel, but where was it? We got 2 weeks coming up that I'm gonna miss, and I don't remember where they are. Maybe I didn't put that up there. Well, I'll make sure to make that clear. But anyway, we've got a couple weeks coming up. The week, I don't remember which races they were, but it's the February 7th, I want to say, is for sure. And then I think January 31st, maybe the other one. So we won't be doing that unless somebody else wants to take up the pick up the torch. But either way, I think it'd be good. Everybody gets a little break, and no pressure to be caught on the broadcast and perform for that. But anyway, thanks everybody. We had a lot of fun tonight. The track was great. The racing was fantastic. I know not everybody's going to walk away feeling that way, but it was a lot of fun to watch from our perspective. A lot of great racing throughout the field. Great Skippy Formula 2 race. Very exciting. And I'm looking forward to see what Zolder has next week. And I know that, again, very... people are split. You heard some people, Chris Herrera's his favorite, and then, the Mike Bowers were, enough with the chicanes already. So it should be an interesting one to see. I do like the fact that there are tracks out there that we're racing that people do not like because it forces you to practice things that you may not necessarily enjoy. Doing things that's driving around tracks that you do like is not as much of a challenge. So we will see you Sunday, and good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Thanks for joining us, Ian. We will see you guys next week.
Take care, guys. Good night.
See ya.